Metaphysics is going to have to be the quote unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely.
All right. We are live. The Cult of Dangerous Gentlemen is back. The best think tank ever to exist on the planet. Prove us wrong. Here again for another installment. How you brothers doing this week?
Fantastic. I'm on that Hennessy Pure White
Oh shit! Damn,
and
bro.
black market weed.
It's still daylight outside, and we on the Hennessy already. It's
Well,
going
I'm
down.
celebrating life today. Today I'm
Beautiful.
celebrating life.
Ain't nothing wrong
I'm
with
I'm
celebrating
about
life.
6 Delta 8 deep.
So we all getting lit today. I feel it, man. I feel it. So yeah, I had an awesome week. Everything's been going really good. Made a bunch of art. I actually dropped some music this week after a really long time. That shit was it was a long time coming, but I'm happy I finally got it out. I feel like it's gonna create a nice little landslide of opportunity for me because I think the thing that I'm on right now is not overthinking, not hoarding my creativity and putting out all of these daily sketches and art, and everything I've been doing has kind of helped me look at my music differently too, because for some reason for a long time I held that completely separately from everything else I was doing creatively. Like I didn't mind sharing art before it was done, the work in progress, and like all of these other things. I was totally detached from. It's just creativity in varying stages. But music, I was like, oh no, this got to be perfect. I got to do it this way, that way, and it kind of just led me to not really doing anything in that space, not professionally anyway, releasing anything, but the sound never stopped in my head. I'm always writing bars, freestyling in the shower, shit like that. It never went away. So, so I just decided to say fuck it, and we let some stuff fly. And speaking of letting some stuff fly, we got the I did that with Surreal. The brother Soulajit produced the beat for me, and help me unclog that area of my creativity. So we're gonna add him in on this call, and we got a whole bunch of cool creative shit to talk about. So I'm just about to patch him in right now. But other than that, I'm sure this has been super eventful for everybody. But I know Doobie, what you want to give us a little preview? I know we can't get into it deeply right now, but what it was that that got your antennas up on Plenty of Blackfish this week?
I could show you the clip.
Oh, you got it
You
ready?
want? I can, bro. I'm ready, ready.
Oh shit! And in case anybody's confused, Plenty of Blackfish is the black side of a website called Plenty of Fish.
Yes, I only go to black people's streams. White people are there too, no judgment. But I only go to black women's streams.
See, that I think as far as black people go, that's king behavior. But if it was a white guy who only goes to white women's streams, that's racist. Just so we're all clear. Am I correct on that?
Sounds wise to me.
Okay.
It's in line. It's in line.
I thought so. I just wanted to make sure. But yeah, that shit is Plenty of Blackfish. If y'all have a chance to go check out Plenty of Fish, go to Plenty of Fish. Absolutely add only the black section and see how interesting it gets.
It's
Because
like black Twitter.
white
It's
Twitter's
fun.
boring.
Yeah, white plenty of fish is hella boring. It's just a bunch of white women dancing around, talking about nothing and just saying nothing and no soul to their hearts. But when you go in plenty of blackfish, there's plenty of energy. Plenty of energy.
Yeah, dude, black Twitter's way more interesting than white Twitter. Matter of fact, I've never even heard anybody use the phrase white Twitter. That's how bland it is. They don't season their Twitter over there. They don't they don't season their blue bird. But black folks got the Sazon and their Lowrys and all that shit. They
Got
got
everything set. Like it's just you know,
yeah.
we know
I'm
how to party.
yeah. That's true. That's true. We know how to party. We know how to be absolute hypocrites, which
This
is
is the
always good
wrong one.
comedy.
This is the wrong one. This is Nurse K. We'll get into Nurse K another day.
Oh, here we go. I think we did. You just get patched in? You here now?
Yeah, yeah. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, we got it. Yeah, we was just talking about Plenty of Black Fish. which is
Yo,
the
yo.
yo. What's going on, bro?
Plenty of
Good
blackfish. You
afternoon.
said it sounds like my kind of sight.
Well, it's a lovely world. I found it. I found
I
it.
don't, I don't
I
like I
found
don't
it.
like the white girls all that much.
That's racist for
I
sure.
found it. I found it, guys.
Did you really?
Yeah, we
What's
was
up,
just
fellas?
saying plenty of black fish is plenty of fish, which is a dating site. But nobody
Yeah,
cares
I know.
about the white section, so we only talk about the black section. And I figured instead of calling it the black plenty of fish, like that didn't sound right. Plenty of black fish has a better ring to it, in my opinion.
Hell yeah. And the other one should be called plenty of pale fish.
That's see, we don't want to admonish the whites. We just want them to,
Oh yeah. I'm gonna do a deep dive in the whites one day. But right now, there's just so much entertainment in the
That's what
black
got
folk.
us in a lot of this trouble right now is the owners of blackness doing deep dives in the whites. I don't think I don't think anybody's happy about that. Nobody's happy about
It's
that.
been
But yeah,
wild.
man, everybody's here. We doing good. We had a super abundant and eventful week, brother. What's going on with you, man?
Chilling, man. I just been out here seasoning these meats with the boot stoof. You know,
Boot Stoop, that's a
not
classic.
chilling, man. Yeah, we had a big week. You released like at least on Instagram, you released a cut for the first time. And how long was the last time you put something out?
Dude, I haven't put anything out myself since we were doing double helix stuff 20 years ago, basically.
Fucking crazy. Well, yeah, that's a big day, man. It's crazy. I've been doing these little these like tape things. Like one of the issues we see right now in music is back in the day when I bought Illmatic, the thing that kept me connected to it was the CD or the tape, and I would sit there and read the liner notes. It was like a physical item, and it was part of having the music. And right now with digital music, especially with playlisting, there's not any fans anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like I have songs that have gotten hundreds of thousands of plays, and that doesn't equal fans because they hear it on a playlist.
Do
So
you
there's no
have a
like,
I'm sorry, man. I'm not prepared for that
yeah,
question.
yeah,
I forgot the website, but there's a website you could put out your music with your own terms.
yeah, Bandcamp. I'm on
Bandcamp.
Bandcamp.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Because
yeah.
you
That'll
can
be
you're capable
part
of
of what we're
selling
doing.
you're capable of selling vinyl too. Vinyl is still in. Like
Yeah,
vinyl's still like
physical.
a hot
Yeah,
thing.
100%. Yeah, these are digital right now, but the cool part is they can be manufactured into actual tapes. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But like as a whole, people aren't collecting music anymore. They hear it on a playlist, they add it to their playlist, and they don't follow you. So I was like, well, how do we
There's an
use this
underground
whole?
movement. There's an underground
There
movement.
is for sure. Yeah, Alchemist is the only one that's doing it like as solid as I would like to. Like he drops those capsules. But I'm trying to like bridge the gap between quote unquote the metaverse and the internet. So what I did is I made these digital versions of tapes. So like if you look at the images, it looks like a real tape. It looks like it's on a desk with an MPC and all this, but that's all digital. The only thing that's like created is the cover. So I've just been, it was a way for me not to go stir crazy because the market took a shit right when I was getting ready to launch this big project. And Don was actually, or excuse me, what is it?
Yeah, it's all good. Don the
What's
Bhagwan. Yeah, it's all good. That's
I call
fine.
them Dawn
Bhagwan.
twos.
I,
Roll
I
them
didn't
with
want to,
Dawn.
I didn't want to snitch again. I'm not about
Just
that.
don't get Yakub's name wrong, sir.
Yeah, yeah, I'm trying not to snitch, bro. I don't want no problems. I don't want no smoke. But he was basically like, man, I was really frustrated and kind of lamenting to him. He was like, bro, you just got to be consistent. And I have all this music on my hard drive that is tragedy, bro. No one ever hears it. I make fucking so much music and I never release it. So I was like, all right, I'm going to create this container to put out these songs. And the response has been crazy. Like they're getting, like Don's got, I think 15, 16,000 views yesterday, 100 comments. Like people are really fucking with it. So it was just exciting, and like I've been pushing him. He's owed me a verse for this song that I have for almost 2 years, and he'll be like, "Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's in the oven," and I'm like, "All right, I'm waiting on it. It's got to be burnt by now." So it was amazing for him to be like, "Yo, let's put this song out," and he's been sitting. We've been sitting on this for 5 years.
Yeah.
This song I made this 5 years ago. He wrote the verse 5 years ago, and to just throw it in the algorithm and people have no idea that it's like it's brand new to them.
That's what
So
art
he
is,
and
though.
I are like, oh, exactly. He and I are
That's
like,
what art
oh
is.
shit, we're about to blast off. Like a Double Helix record is already about. It's like already in the ether. Like we're it's
and
gonna
and
be done soon. So,
and I'm real excited because we had to live through strip hop. We've seen like where the culture is going, and
Yeah.
some of them
Rip
have
hop.
it's and
Did you
some of them
make that up?
No, he
I
did
thought
not make that up. He did not make that up. That's a
Oh
real thing. That's a real thing.
I thought I coined the term, but I'm not on the internet enough to know for sure.
Yeah, it's
But
a
either
real
way,
thing.
but we can agree that that's what it is. It's strip hop. That's
Yeah.
that's, that's
hell
what it
yeah,
is. That's what
yeah.
yeah. And some of it's some clever. You hear some Red Man type shit. They'll make a bar that's really clever, and instead of it being about murdering somebody or drug dealing, it's a clever bar about their pussy and tricks they can do with it. Like, okay, I guess that's something. Strip hop. All right, I get it. It's still in the vein of hip hop.
Danny
That beat was
Brown.
pretty dope.
Danny Brown used to do it heavy.
Yeah,
Used
I
to do it
can't. I
heavy.
can't. His voice is too much for me. But I'm.
I
I'm
fucks with
excited.
it.
I still haven't adjusted to him. I'm sure he's very talented, but I haven't. I heard him on that one Ghostface song, and it was just hard for me to
Watch his
digest.
podcast. You'll respect
But
him more.
but I like that we're moving back into mist-hop. That there's now mysticism. I
Yeah.
love hearing these verses
It's
about
yeah.
engaging your mind with it. Nobody's trying to be lyrical on that level. Some people will kind of sprinkle in, like it's still drug dealing and shit and being nice on the mic, and they'll put a little bit of they'll put a little smidge on, hey, I read this book and now I'm gonna mention the Ottoman Empire in one of my bars. But I like that the shit that I've heard from you guys lately is just straight mysticism. Like, no. I'm not a hip hop dude that read a little bit on some mysticism and I sprinkled it in a bar. I'm a shaman. I'm a mystic
Yeah.
that figured out how to rap.
Yeah.
So that's what it sounds like.
Now I'm gonna keep it
The
real.
cleverness of the bar is totally different. I love it.
That's all I want to talk about these days is the shit that's kind of helped me reshape my own life and shit that just helped me ground and center myself and pull me out of some of the depression and shit that you can experience just with the everyday hustle and mundane shit. It's like if you're not careful, it can pull you into a deep dark place, right? So the only thing I want to talk about is how that stuff has helped me. So, but the reason that I've had so much anxiety around releasing music, it's my own boomerang. I was talking about this morning. I threw this boomerang 20 years ago, and now it's coming back, and I have to face it. I have to deal with it. Hip hop seems to require so much aggression and competitive energy. People say that's what it's about. That's what it was born from, and that's kind of the only thing that a lot of people want to accept from you. And when we was some young bulls out here, bro. Like we was young, we were in our prime, we was rapping our asses off, and that comes with competition, competitive energy, a little bit of arrogance and shit like that. And the attitude that I held about music and myself measured against other people for so long, it kind of imprinted itself on that part of my brain that writes raps. So whenever I approach rap music now, I have to deal with that because I don't feel that way anymore. That's not who I am. It's the farthest thing from what I want to talk about. But I know how much of that energy I carried and put out before. So it's me holding myself accountable, and it's also me hiding behind that to not release music. So I think that's why I always love reggae music so much, because reggae doesn't really require that from you. Reggae music is mystic music. It's folk music. You know what I mean?
That's why I love reggae.
There is dance hall. They can talk shit and all of that, but it doesn't require it from you. You know what I mean? So that's why it was so difficult for me. But now I'm getting to the place where, like I said, I don't really care anymore. I'm just going to talk about what I want to talk about and represent what I want to represent. And if whoever don't get it, just don't get it. It's not really up to
Content
them.
is king. Content is
Absolutely.
king.
Absolutely.
Content
Just
is
put
king.
shit
Well,
out.
I've settled into the fact that I make folk hop now. When you listen to folk music, it's like it's about revolution and obviously it's different instrumentation. Like I don't make Joni Mitchell, I'm not really Bob Dylan, but like I've hated the idea that and again back to the race thing, like low key, like I don't want corny white fans. Like, that's been an issue for me for a long time. I want African people at my shows. But I'm
Can I ask you a
realizing
question?
now that, like,
Can I ask you a question
yeah,
about that? They're the ones who
yeah.
buy the music.
Oh, I know. Trust me, I figured that out. So my homeboy Frank, who's like one of my mentors, one of my best friends, he was like, Jeremy, you need to quit tripping. You being white is the thing. He's like, you want those white fans because you're going to be a bridge, an authentic bridge to black culture. and they don't have to go through the Macklemores. All respect to Macklemore, and he's kind of a better one, but there's a lot of people that do it. But I'm cool with being the Dave Matthews of rap now. I don't give a fuck anymore. I'll be that. I'll be the John Mayer of rap, even though my shit is obviously not that white or corny or whatever you want to call it. But we make, I'm cool with that. I want to make big songs that can be played in a stadium. I'm all right with that. I want a live band. And so the mysticism is like a really good avenue for that, because people will be more attuned to that. We're not coming out trying to be I'm not trying to be the best rapper no more. You know, I'm not,
Right.
that's not even on my mind. To what Corey was saying, the message and what we're trying to say. And Corey, the fact that you've had to fight that demon to reemerge is the whole story. Like, it's all scalable, right? The fact that you've healed enough, now that the boomerang's coming back, you can catch it in a different way and release music in a different way. And the fact that you healed that on an internal level, you don't even have to say that in the song. People can feel it.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
they can feel that you used to be and still are a lion. You know what I'm saying? You really are. We're killers, but we're choosing compassion. And we don't have to make a song about it. It's in the tenor of your voice, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And that's why your shit hits so hard. It always has, but the group Little Brother, we're Big Brother, right? It's like, yo, and to fuck with the age shit in hip hop now, to be like, yo, why have we sculpted a culture? We're the only ones. You know, the Rolling Stones are still touring. People still buy their records, but God forbid you cross 40 years old in the rap game, all of a sudden you're a relic. That's bullshit, because what we've done is get rid of our wise leaders and elders.
That's not necessary.
And that's part of what we're saying now too.
No,
Well,
it
not,
is.
you know,
It's very
on a
few.
mainstream
Because
level.
Nas, look at Nas.
Well, it's
Nas is
starting to
doing fine.
change,
He's
but
the
he's
only
an
one.
outlier too, though.
Yeah.
Nas is an outlier.
Nas and
It-
Jay-Z.
It has started to change a little bit, like on that last Super
Hip hop
Bowl
is like a young
show.
man's game.
They brought Snoop out. I don't know how
It's
much
not,
Snoop
though.
is.
It don't have to be a young man's game. That's the problem.
And you
It's
still
not.
have
We
you
need
still
wise
have
people.
Rick Ross. You still have Snoop. Like, I
Yeah,
don't know.
but
I
he's-
think
but
I
they're
think
all
there's a space
yeah.
for it.
I guess a maturity, not an age, a maturity. We act like mature music is not for us. It's got to
Yeah.
be belligerent, ignorant. That is a
Right.
symptom of our sickness as a culture, that we don't respect our elders. It's because, like, black folks that came to America, few and far between do they know where they come from. So that they have allowed that part of the culture, the disconnection to ancestry, be part of it. Like, fuck our elders. We want that young, belligerent, get money type shit. And not to say there's anything wrong with that. It has its place. But part of what I think Corey and I are interested in is being like, yo, we want to make that age shit, that wisdom shit fly. Like, wisdom is cool again.
Absolutely.
It should be.
Yeah.
I think for a big swath of hip hoppers, that's always remained true. There just hasn't been a lot of music to kind of connect you with that. Nobody. It
The
used to be
machine doesn't
something that
push
would
it.
challenge people more.
That's
The
it. The
machine doesn't
machine
push
does.
it. It's not that the people
That's
don't want it. The machine doesn't push it.
That's
The
exactly
yeah,
right.
yeah.
And
Well,
why do you
it's
think
it's
that is?
both. It's both, because if the machine thought there was significant money to be made, as much money to be made in common sense as there was in Little Yachty, they would push common sense. I don't believe they would forego the money for some underlying thing like, oh, we got to keep their culture a death culture and about guns and drugs.
Common doesn't put as much music out compared.
No,
to
I'm just saying.
Little
I'm talking
Yachty.
about content wise. Like, Common's just a name I came up with. But like people like Black Thought, Common Sense, like if they thought they could get as much money with putting them at the front of a movement, I think they would do it. But the culture itself, the people, they want the younger artists talking about partying, and because that's the stage of life that most of the fans are in. They're not in the stage of life where they want to be introspective and they want to dance and get drunk and pop perks, and that's not what most 40-year-old people are talking about. So it's a little bit of
helped with
both.
that, man.
Oh yeah,
COVID helped, man. Because imagine being a Future fan and you go out every weekend to the strip club or to a club and you're drinking Douce and getting fucked up and grinding on a girl, and you're like, this is the life. And then you're stuck in the house and you put Future on again and you're sober. And you're like, what was I doing?
yeah, this shit don't make no
What the
sense.
You hear
fuck
the
was this?
lyrics.
It's like ain't about shit. He's literally promoting the pharmaceutical industry. And all love to Future. By the way, I fuck with these people. I can love and
He
appreciate
makes
them because I
dope beats.
understand.
It's
There's a time and
undeniable.
place
His
for
beats are
everything.
dope.
Facts.
Time and place for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
it's
is.
just
There
I
is.
think, and I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Because one thing that
Nah,
you
go for it.
mentioned, No, I'm sorry. I'm a horrible person. There was
No, you're
there
not.
was there was a I do think there was a time in our generation as hip hop dudes that there was absolutely a sense of continuity as like that was a kind of a hallmark of appreciating real hip hop shit. Is like, look, these dudes were preserving music that people forgot about. Like, yo, this shit is dope. This jazz artist might have
Yep.
died broke, but if you heard
Yes.
fucking Chant
Yes.
for Boo, that shit is amazing.
That
It's amazing. So, right, and
stand for
even
food.
when new dudes were coming out, there was still like, okay, well, I mean, even Nas was like a little mini cool G rap. You know what I mean? Like that's there was that like sense of camaraderie and respect for the elders from the 80s to 90s. I don't see it until like very recently where it's
50
like
Cent
everybody
came
else
in and
behind
said,
us
"Fuck y'all
sucks.
niggas." That's
But
when
when
the whole thing changed.
he did set a tone of just rampant disrespect.
Yeah,
You know,
like
like that like and it translated into a lot of eyes and a lot of attention. But I think that was really like a hallmark of the culture that I'd like to see come back. That there what now those dudes didn't have a chance to get as much money like you were saying about the Rolling Stones. Like I think that part is true. A lot of the older dudes kind of fell away and didn't get the money that they deserved. But now the culture's generated so much money. Like there's a lot of opportunity, if there
For
was a
sure.
reaction and respect for that culture, for that money to be spread around in a more reasonable way,
Well,
or get to the people.
also
Yeah,
cyclically, it's 92. You know what I'm saying? Everything happens in 30-year cycles. You remember when we were coming up, the rebirth of bell bottoms, 70s vibes was going because it was 92, 93, or in the 2000s. There's like 20, 30-year cycles, and right now everywhere I look, like Abs Soul's new record just came out, and it's got Primo on it, right? And it's got a
right.
bunch of more boom bap shit. Like everybody's, because our kids, or the kids we're raising, grew up listening to our music, so that younger generation knows about it, where
Yeah,
in the 2000s there was that gap. So honestly, the next decade, between 10 years, we're gonna see and you're seeing it, bro. If you look at Netflix, there's shows about the birth of hip-hop in France, the birth of hip-hop in this place, because it's like that
fucking
there's
Wu
a
Tang
rebirth.
on Narcos. Like it's coming back.
Exactly, man. Exactly, bro. And it's beautiful because, like Corey said, we never like took our eyes off that boomerang. We ain't gone nowhere. This is all I want to do. You know what I'm saying? I want to make. I'm D'Anglo. That's what Frank calls me. I'm late.
And
I'm
Odin
I
Redding.
moved to East. Odin Redding,
I feel you.
D'Anglo.
I feel you on that, man. Like I'm always gonna be a '90s kid, like for the rest of my life. Like that's the time. That's a
Let's
time
be honest.
that's the time that's never gonna go away. I don't care what anybody say. Like the fashion, the
Well, that's
style,
part of why
the music,
that's why
everything.
we're doing the tape. That's why I want to do the tape. That's what I
I
was
like
getting at. Was like, yo, you know how often I would look. I found out who Lionel Hampton was because of Illmatic. You know what I'm saying? Because you could find out who was sampled. So,
yeah.
I want to bring the liner note back, and the idea that you can own the art. So the ecosystem that I'm building, if I don't, you guys saw it, but if you pull up the cover one that has the MPC on it. So part of what I want to do is, so this first volume has 10 joints, right? There's 10 tapes. So you can buy them individually, you can buy the whole thing, but then on the ecosystem, on my platform, if you want to trade them, so say we only release 1,000 of them total, right? Once they're out, they're done. That's all that'll ever exist. So if you want one that you don't have and you want to trade it, you have to own the tape deck that has the dual tape players so that you can dub it to be able to trade it. So then you also have to buy the tape deck. And then there'll be another layer for creators. If they want to make beats or use the stems, they have to own the MPC. So it's like a whole ecosystem built around these gadgets
Yeah.
from the 90s. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's just fire.
Dope as fuck.
Dope concept. I want to go into one of these. Let me make sure everybody can see it though too. Here, I'm gonna open up so we can play a little bit of it because I know you kind of go through it in the
Play yours. We're
no,
on your show.
yeah,
man.
'cause you-
Play yours. I want to pump yours.
yeah, you go through it in the video. The video kind of shows some of the image and then it kind of zooms into it just looks dope. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'll play this one just hold on, let me. I just love the way it looks. And this is all digital.
Picture in abundance, I envision myself. Balance between spiritual and the material wealth. Navigating the extremes I felt, just like the movement of a pendulum. I'm seeking the truth in this elusive equilibrium. The alchemist pushing magic through the algorithm. Learning the principles of gratitude and magnetism. I had to put away the fear and believe to experience miracles I perceive.
That's it. So we see what we're talking about. We got another, check this. It's the same vibe, the container. Just dope shit.
Made in the ways of the wise and the unknown. I'm a G, sit with God on a gold throne. You can't find me, that number's from an old phone.
Yeah, man, just nice vibes, and the art style, the delivery system.
Yo,
with
can
the
you bring up the thing I just sent you in Facebook so they can see the top down one that has
Yeah,
the
let me
tape
grab
on
it
the
from
NPC and everything?
in here.
Just so y'all can see but what's cool is I'm using Midjourney to create the covers, so it's easy to get. That's the shoebox with the tapes in it, right? So each one is the joint. It has a different tape in it, and then the other one, if you show them the other one that has the wider one that has the MPC to the right and the headphones and everything. So
Not
that's
gonna
the
lie,
wider one. You see the MPC.
the artwork is fire. The artwork is fire.
That shit is
It's
dope.
crazy.
NPC is
It
fire.
looks like one of those
If you
little
want,
tape
if you
things,
don't want
yeah.
your niggas dancing in your videos, if you don't want your niggas all up in your rap, come over here to Soul Chill.
So
Volume
legit.
One.
Yeah.
This is it, bro.
Thank
Grandmothership vibes. This is where we
You know what I'm
going.
saying?
The market's gonna do what the market does. Everybody's allowed to move in whatever direction that they moving in. Authenticity is currency. We just got to do what feels right to us. And there's a point where you get to a certain stage in your creativity where you don't have to chase things anymore. And a lot of time the chasing comes from fear. But if you plant your feet and you understand what you've done, the work you've put in, and how far you've come, a lot of times if you stand still, you can wait for the wave to get to you. But chasing the wave is you're always going to be one step behind, because things get popular, things come up, things go down. But I think if you seed your garden the right way, you won't have to chase. All you have to do is be patient and stand still, and the wave will find you. And I really, truly think that's where we are right now, is the wave finding us. We've been building on this, like you said, the mysticism, the shamanic vibes, that spirit, and that's been our real lives. But the fact that the world is coming around to it right now. Our libertarian friend just sent me a message. He said he's going to see a comedian named Ron White. And Ron White, his whole vibe, that was one of the his whole vibe was drinking on stage, being drunk. That was his whole act. Now he's done ayahuasca. Now he's stopped drinking and he's microdosing, and that's part of his comedy now. The world is changing.
I fucking love comedians.
People are changing, the world is changing, and we've done a lot to be where we are right now. And I think now comes a time where you just got to be resilient and trust the work that you've done and let the wave come to us, bro. That's where we at. And shit is beautiful, bro. Shit's dope. I mean, you can't front on this. This shit is dope, period.
I have not seen like it's instant nostalgia.
Yep.
I haven't seen that layout in like 25 years, and I haven't even thought about it. But it brought to my mind, like, looking at your little tape holder,
yep,
and seeing how all the tapes were lined up, and how you would recognize certain ones immediately because of how they look. Like, dude, it's captured perfectly. That is dope as fuck.
Dope.
Yeah, man. Yeah, good
I'm
shit, dude.
really hyped. And what's so funny, man, is that this was out of frustration, right? This was not my main wave. So I had all these other grandiose ideas about my platform, and I built all these other pieces of art. And then when the market took a shit, it was like, I can't bring this to market right now. It'd be a waste of time and energy and resources. Now I have to wait. And it was like, man, fuck it. I had this idea to do these tapes, and I just grabbed all the different pieces. And now I'm like, oh, this is the thing I've been looking for. You know what I'm saying? This is this is better than any of the other containers, because it's like, it's so easily repeatable, and it's truly a collectible. Because it's like, part of it is people like, well, where are the real tapes? Well, dope. If there's a demand, I can easily use this artwork to make physical tapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's on. And having it be collectible for people, and even the idea about how they can be traded amongst people, it's just, it creates another layer of community and people building with each other. Like, you know how special that was? That wasn't no, even with other things, but I remember carrying Nintendo cartridges to my friend's house and letting them play. Like, you had a couple games, I had different games, and we would trade games, or bringing a new tape to somebody's house.
Secret of Evermore.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and
That shit was dope.
Thank you, Yaku. Thank you.
and letting people dub your tapes, man. I remember I was one of the first people in my neighborhood that had the and this is even older, the people that I had the Busta Rhymes When Disaster Strikes. We got that tape when it first dropped, and I was one of the first people that had it. I was one of the first people that had There Is a Dark Side by Redman, and people were like, holy shit, bring that shit over, let me dub it. And then
We're
that's
the last
like
generation of like physical copies of art.
Yeah,
We're the last.
Exactly,
We're the last.
exactly. And this is a way to connect. You know, everybody's fear about AI and metaverse, and I get it, I understand, but like this is a cool way, like a bridge to be like, well, how do we use this digital technology to create that feeling again? Because none of us want to lose that. You know, physicality, the third dimension, is real and will
People
remain
need
real.
communication and fair trade and commerce. People need that
Exactly.
physical activity. Like I was mad when Radio Shack was done. I was upset. It was like, you need that.
Yeah, that'd be a fly container, man. Honestly, that's what I'm saying, that this is so repeatable, because I could do vinyl, and then depending on who I'm collabing with, that tabletop will have different objects. Like my homeboy Cavalier is a big cannabis person, so I could have an ashtray with a joint in it that's burning on that table with his tape, and then Bongo would be mushrooms or whatever, whoever it is. It's like it's that physicality, that kind of nostalgia factor, and it could be a fucking radio. You know what I'm saying? You could do a Radio Shack. Like we're doing a show here in LA at an African Cultural Center for my birthday, and I'm gonna put the poster it's gonna look like it's on the wall of that building, but it'll be something I created all digitally. You know what I'm saying? You can do anything. You can put it anywhere.
Yeah, it's time, man. I think it's a great place to be, a great time to be us in general, having the sensibilities that we have. There's going to be a lot of young people, whether they're in fashion or music, that are going to see this wave and they're going to totally take a left and try to create that texture, but not from memory or from having experienced it. They're going to just try to create that thing so other people can latch onto it. And a lot of them are going to be at a disadvantage because they pivoted, versus the people who just have that naturally and can be in the right place at the right time to deliver it. So
I also like that. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's just a great time to be us right now. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I just love the ability of how it gives the opportunity to really reascribe value to art in ways like the technology allows it to be done in ways that you couldn't before. Like I'm just thinking in my head, like, because I know you talked about like, an NFT associated with each song. I'm thinking about, like that cover art that you showed, right? And where you see all the tapes, how that looks is like, okay, well, yeah, $25 for this, but $50 gets this edition. $100 you get the physical with it. And there's only 2,500 printed of the actual physical ones.
Exactly.
But yeah, $100, bam, you got it. And so that people can say, look, I want to enjoy your art. I'm just going to stream it though. That's as much as I give a fuck about this. And that's where a lot of that strip hop is, right? It's I want to hear it, but there's really not anything meaningful here. But you give people an opportunity to say, okay, well, what is really valuable in the world? Like what is, when you're talking about consciousness and influencing human beings with culture and the value of music and how it can touch people's lives, you're giving people an opportunity to ascribe more value to it. It's like, yeah, this is maybe some throwaway shit that I stream, but this shit, I feel I want to support that. Can I get that same thing but give you $100? Like if you gave me a chance, like there was times where I had, CDs get lost, people borrow them. I was my only choice to replace Goodfellas by Showbiz and AG was to buy the copy used for $200. Like there used to be a time where you could go to the record store and they would order the shit for you, and you'd wait 2 weeks and bam, you got it. $15-$16, right? You get a CD or you get a tape. But shit just disappeared. I would love to be able to like, look, I know y'all probably got jerked from your label or whatever. Like I had to bootleg your shit because there was no other way for me to get a copy. I did buy it at one point. Here's $50. Like if I ever saw you, like here's $50 because I like what you did, and I pretty much had to steal your music because I had no choice. I'm not paying $200 and getting robbed, right? And this is a way in that digital space, like you can get the money, like almost in a way to say, look, not only do I love and support what you're doing, the message is important, the direction is
Right.
important, what it's doing for the culture is important. I want to empower you more.
Yeah, shit is
Well, and then
fire,
there's
bro.
like, look at the infrastructure we have built because, Bhagwan over here has been building his apparel company, right? So we can attach merch. Like we have another project we've been working on called Talking Totems, where I hired a 3D modeler to take his 2D drawings and turn his drawings into 3D objects in the computer. Each one of those has a song, a shirt, a sticker, whatever. And we're going to 3D print the actual totem that you could put on your desk. And that goes with a song. You know what I'm saying? So, like, creating a bridge for merchandise. That's what Alchemist is doing so well. Each drop he has is a world you can live in. There's shirts, there's vinyl, there's shows, there's the music, and he's fucking killing it. He's making more money now than he ever did producing for Mobb Deep or any of the larger shit, even Kendrick. Like his little capsules, he'll drop his capsule for what are they, $100 a piece. You get a shirt,
Yeah,
a piece of
I'll
vinyl.
I'll figure it out. I'll figure out the hustle.
Bro, he's selling hundreds and thousands of those every year, man. He's
Shout out
making
to the
millions
Jew
of dollars
hustlers out there,
on
man.
his
They're
terms.
making it.
On his terms. You know what I'm saying?
They're making it.
That's how you
Oh,
got to
I
do
fucks
it.
with it though. I
Yo,
fucks with
come
it
on.
though. I fucks with it.
Hell
I
yeah.
fucks with, I love Alchemist.
that.
He's like he's my like producer god. That's where I look every
Yeah,
time he
he
puts
is.
something out. Every time he puts something out, I go right back
You
into
saw
like the
his
drawing
new one
boards,
with the
man.
deli meats and shit? Did you see
I
his
haven't
new
even.
one with the
I'm
deli meat
still,
and all that?
bro. I'm still on Rock Marciano right now. Like I can't even like keep up. I'm still on Rock Marciano. Like
Killing it right
the
now.
man is amazing, man. The man is amazing.
It's smart. It's the way to be right now. You can't leave it all up to these labels and everybody else, and like none of that shit matters to them
But
anyway.
it could only happen at this generation. Like now it's easy. Before like you needed those machines and you needed those people to do this and that. Now with the internet and technology, you don't need none of these people.
That's true.
You just have to you just have to build a fan base. And if you know,
But you got to be consistent, and that's the thing about it.
yep,
Where,
consistency.
yeah,
Yep.
it's more to your benefit right now as an artist to release a song every week than to take 13 songs or 15 songs and put them on an album. You better off just piecemealing them out for 15 weeks and just put out a song every week. That's better for the algorithm, the way people consume music and like their attention spans and everything else. It's just easier to do it that way at this point. It's
I just
smarter.
see it as graffiti. I just see it as like it's this is the internet's graffiti, putting out so much content and putting out so much art. It's just that's just the way you're spraying over the algorithm, looking down the trains and the different styles and different art. That's the only way you're gonna get the algorithm's attention.
Yeah, and you got to be on
Yeah,
it
it's
constantly,
a lot,
bro.
man. It's a lot, but it's like why doing this over the last 10 weeks or 11 weeks has been a real experiment. And like, oh yeah, like there's momentum. And like people that haven't, friends of mine who haven't commented on my posts in years and years are like, yo, I love these. And I'm like, oh shit, I didn't even know you were still following me. You know what I'm saying? That consistency, like, people have to be bombarded over and over and over with something. And that's kind of counterintuitive to how we came up. We were all about kind of magnum opus and your body of work. And so it's taken a lot for me to train that muscle and be like, fuck it, man. I just got to inundate them. So like the idea now is I want to do 3 volumes. So it'll be 30 joints by the time it's done. So when we go to mint it, there's 3 full versions. And like you said, Yakub, you could buy the whole box for X amount. You could buy the entire project. You could buy them one at a time, you know what I'm saying? Or you can buy like a big bundle that comes with shirt and all this other stuff. So it's like I'm excited about it. And then to have some like double helix shit starting to pop off is exciting, but also terrifying. Cause like anytime I work with this dude, I'm like, shit, man, I gotta really write. Like I can't just get on and kick some shit. Like having this guy, like speaking of competitiveness, anytime he and I try to do some shit, it depends on who gets the verse to the person first. Like if he sends me a verse first, I'm never able to finish it. If I send him one, he's like, fuck, we kind of have to write at the same time because it's usually like, damn, I can't live up to that verse, you know?
Yeah, it's a lot.
Y'all
Though.
should just get a day and pick like 2 3 hours and just log in and just record that way. You'll get a lot done.
Just blind
Yeah,
blind
we got
record.
5 joints right now that are basically done, man. Like it's we got some shit ready to go. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
yeah, we got some dope shit. The Totems project is what the next thing is going to be, and it just came from some things that I was drawing, some images that I was drawing, and then he took a look at them and was like, oh, and we got on the phone one day and just started talking, and it must have been 15 to 20 minutes, like just stream of consciousness came out, and the whole idea was came together just that quick. The beats were done, some rhymes were written. It was like, holy shit, this is crazy. And then a lot of other stuff happened in between. But now we're back here at this time with this opportunity again to just say fuck it and put it out. Like, why not? What are we waiting for? It's dope shit, and nobody can deny. I mean, yeah, of course, different people like different stuff, but nobody can deny, like, the shit is just dope. The beats are dope, the rhymes are dope, and it's enough to make it part of everything else that we're doing. Why not? You don't have to wait for it to be some kind of magnum opus, Grammy run or no shit like that.
Just put it out.
Yeah, this is just what we
The
doing, man.
fans will buy it. The fans will respect it.
Yeah, yeah, and I think people will dig the package, like he was saying, the 3D elements of it, the whole. It's just a lot to
The
engage
artwork is
with.
dope as fuck.
Yeah, I love it all,
As a
bro.
person, I bootleg everything. I think the first time I actually had albums, I was on a trip to New York through Greyhound, and somebody left their CD pack, and I think I fell in love with hip hop all over again because he had everything. Like, and I was in New York listening to that shit all over again. But like, as a fan of hip hop, what I always loved about it, it was the artwork at, like, the album covers.
Exactly.
You find the
Yeah.
CDs and you go through them. Like, that's just, you can't like, unless you're like a sampler going through a record store. There's just something beautiful about that. There's just something beautiful about that. And
Yeah,
like,
it
you
was
just respect,
engaging. It's
yeah, like, you
engaging.
respect the artwork a lot more.
Yeah, dude. I used to read them things, even reading the shout outs, bro. Even reading the,
Exactly.
like, you know what I mean? Just that. Like, you don't know none of the people basically that they're talking to, but you want to see all the people that Busta Rhymes is shouting out in his liner notes. It was
Yeah.
just something to consume and just be a part. You just felt closer connected to the music, the creation of the music, and everything
And
it
then it's
took
like
to
the
get it to
fucking
you.
beat. It's like, I have to know what the fuck sample this was. Like, this is just, the
That
beat was
part.
so
Yes.
amazing. Like, what the fuck was this? And then you find out it's your favorite producer who produced that album. Come on, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Which
love it,
led
bro.
to, like, I always tell people that being a producer and, like, it's history. It's like they're sacred objects. Like, I would one fabric leads me to Bob James, and then Bob James leads me to Ron Carter, and then Ron Carter leads me to, you know what I'm saying? Like, you end up Grover Washington, and then Grover, and these are worlds. And that's the thing, is like, these tapes, we want them to feel like worlds. Like, you tap in with it, and there's going to be these other fractal fragments and shit to follow other places. And that's really what's missing. It's just microwave right now. It's all about playlists, which is only helping the top 5, top 10 artists in the world. All of other people are like,
it's
even if you
payola.
end up on a playlist, yeah, people don't
Payola.
even know who you are. They're subscribed to the playlist, not to you as an artist. So there's no longevity there.
That also helps us in a way that we know we don't have to be connected or tied to this idea of a 3.5 minute song, or like, we know people's attention spans are shorter, and sometimes, honestly, without chalking it up to being lazy or not finishing stuff, sometimes a intro, a verse, a hook, and an outro just feels good. It just feels good. The
Exactly.
4 minute song is what benefited the record companies because they needed a certain amount of time to fill up an album. Like, we're not going to press an album if it's not a whole 74 minutes or something like that. It was against their policies. It didn't work well for them. But as artistry, I was saying, my daughter this morning, if I took versus, one painter can put 40 hours into a painting. Another painter can take a brush and slap it across the shit. And does that mean he's not done? There's people who will absolutely appreciate and pay top dollar for that splash, and there's other people who will pay
Totally.
top dollars for the hyper realism and everything else. It's just who
Yeah.
you are as an artist. You got to be honest with yourself and just let that shit happen. We don't have to do anything, and if people critique it, that just helps us in the algorithm. Talk about how my song is too short and I suck for making it too short. That helps me in the algorithm.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
that's bro. Listen, I make all my beats are normally like a minute or two, like less. They're not even 2 minutes. They're like a minute 30, minute 20, sometimes a minute. and it it's nobody's complaining about the length of the beat. Like
Right.
I've had every critique, but the length.
Right. It just is what it is. You
So
know
Yeah.
what? You know when I learned that for the first time in real life was the Rottweiler, Red and Meth. It was the shortest song I had ever heard in my life up until that point. And I was just like, I just need to play this two more times. That's all.
yeah,
Right, but it was banging. I think it was less than 2 minutes. It was
Right.
like a minute
Yeah.
50 or some crazy
It's
shit. Yeah.
mad short, but it's like one of the
Our
dopest
joint,
things.
our totem songs are 1 minute long, bro. You know, we both kick a 8 bar verse, or sometimes only trade a 4 bar, and then there's like a little hook, and then we're done. There's one that's 2 minutes and 22 seconds. That's the whole. That's just called Talking Totems, which is all four of the totems together. But each totem is only a minute because the algorithm taught me. I mean, that's the thing, man. We could hate on it, but there's something like when you start to understand time, you become more potent. Like these things we're putting out, like I'm able to do a full song in a minute now. At least it feels like a full song. There's an intro, a verse, an outro, and a breakdown or whatever. And you feel like you listen to a whole song. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's something to that. You put it on Spotify and people like it, it's gonna get more plays because
Right.
it's
Yeah.
short.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think it's the best shit for like some of that 90s hip hop shit cuz like I think about a song like Let Off a Couple by the Beatnuts. I don't know if y'all remember that one. Another like
Yeah.
super short beat or super short song, and the beat is just a loop over and over and over. And those were some of the dopest, catchiest songs where the loop was just super catchy and dope to listen to, but there wasn't a lot of change ups. Like you wouldn't want to do that for like an 8 minute epic,
Right.
you know. But for something that's like on that vibe of like the 90s shit, and people just getting in the pocket in different ways, like so the loop is the same the whole time, and it's something really catchy and infectious. And then you hear people line up their verse on the beat in different ways with different styles. That's just, I don't know, man, that was like a big part of what made that era so dope to me. And some of my favorite songs of all time, some of the most catchy shit, is just it's a 4 bar loop. That's it.
Right.
And they just
Well, like
found
the
the
intros
absolute
too, like
best
that.
part of the song. Yeah.
I love
The
it, bro.
Outkast intro, or like how Primo and Pete Rock would have the little beat play before
Yeah.
the song,
Yeah.
like the intro to Superstar. You know what I'm saying? Remember Group Home Superstar? Just that,
Yeah.
and he's talking. You're like, yo, I would rewind that part over and over again. Or like Pete Rock's little 20-second loops that come on before a song. You're like, what is that, man? What is that? You know, there's something to that because it makes it a little more mysterious as well. You know, it's like you don't get enough, or you don't feel like you get enough. You want more, and you're gonna play it out. I know that's how it is for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad Elzai did that Elmatic or whatever.
That shit was
Where
fire.
Yeah.
Dude, where he finally that Genesis beat that nobody ever used, just Nas and AZ talking on it. But you
Speaking
hear that
of,
and you're like,
yes,
damn,
bro.
that shit is banging. But nobody ever rapped on it.
Dude.
Yeah, that's a great example.
That, and also like the intro to Aquemini, the intro to 18 Aliens, like those are fucking incredible
Yeah.
songs. The intro to the Goody Mob, Let My People or Free My People or whatever,
Yeah.
with CeeLo singing. Those are like some of the most memorable pieces of music from that era, and it's because they're short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a big part
You know,
of it.
what was the other one? I think it was before Crumble and Herb on their first, where I think it was the Big
Crumbling
Groove,
Herb. I had a
where he's
record
talking
of that
about,
shit.
if you think this is
Oh,
all
yeah.
about slamming Cadillac
Yes.
doors, you probably a cracker.
Yeah.
Or I'm looking to think he a
Yes.
cracker.
Yo,
And I was like, what is that beat in the background, and why did nobody use
Yes.
You can't
Yep.
you can't live in Atlanta and not have that those records and not play it every day. Like that has to be your Atlanta Bible, because those are fucking classics. To me, that was such a different time in hip hop.
I
Yeah.
know.
Oh yes,
You
it
know,
was
just
special.
with all the
Well, 'cause
East
it was-
West bullshit, and then all these guys are just doing like the craziest.
They won that year,
Weirdest.
bro, at the Source Awards.
Yeah,
They
it's
won. That
just-
was what was so fucking amazing about that, was the East and West are literally fighting at the Source Awards, and they
And,
won
like-
Rap Album of the Year.
Yeah.
That's-
They Outkast definitely like made Atlanta like shine. Like if a place was ignored when it comes to making music, they definitely were like, you're not gonna ignore us anymore, and it just blew up after that.
Well,
And-
now
Well, and
all
it
the
was them
trash music.
synthesizing the. Yeah, go ahead.
No, you already got
No,
my
you
one interruption for the time. It's all
they
good, bro.
real quick. They what it was too is they were synthesizing the East Coast sound in a Southern way, so it was a much a different thing. Where like trap music is like a full realization of what I would consider what they may consider their sound, right? Which I don't love as much. But if you listen to AT Aliens, there's songs on there that I can show you are one for one. You can tell they were inspired by the Purple Tape. You know what I'm saying? Like Jezebel is if you listen to the drum pattern and the way it is directly correlated to the one off
It's
of
Rainy
Cuban Links that
Days.
start.
Rainy
Yes,
Days is the
yes,
same
it's
drum
Rainy
pattern.
Days,
Yeah.
bro, to a T, to a T. So it's
That's one of
what
my
it is
favorite
it's so.
songs. One of my favorite songs.
Oh man, bro, they were basically really inspired by RZA and Pete Rock and shit. So it was a different time.
Shout
But I
out to
Dude,
miss that.
there
Outkast is
shout out. Sorry to
the
cut everybody out. Shout out to
yeah.
Memphis Funk. Super underrated.
Memphis
The
Just that
Funk.
oh yeah, bro.
old
Man.
3-6 Mafia that
Yep.
just it was murder raps, but
But
it just
sonically it
that's
was very
sonically it
commendable.
was
Yeah.
amazing. It was
Dude,
amazing.
the first three Outkast records and the first two Goody Mob records are undeniably magic.
Yeah.
I like the
And they
stuff
get better.
beyond that. Yeah, dude, you go back and you're like, this is amazing, and to put it in the context of it coming out then and when it was like the most, it's almost like you know this person played against Jordan, so you have to grade it on that curve, right? So if you listen to it in the context of like this is when it was like the most competitive lyrically, and this shit still stands out as amazing. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
they were musicians, man. Or organized
yeah,
noise
Organized
are
Noise was
actual
just
Yeah.
incredible.
Yes, yes, yes.
That's
So
what made a lot of
they
the
were,
difference.
if you look at
Yes.
what's up now, they were way ahead. Like they are one of my biggest influences, but the way I make music now, because they were able to merge programmed drums with live music. You know,
Yeah.
when you listen to Liberation, oh, it's that
Yeah.
shit is unbelievable.
Crit fucks with them heavy too. He's in Atlanta a lot. He fucks
Yeah,
with
Chris.
organized noise. Crit fucks with them heavy.
I,
KRIT.
that's what made a lot
Yeah,
of the
Chris.
difference for me. I remember listening to a lot of music growing up, and because I was so close, like with my grandmother and the music she listened to, the music my father listened to growing up, it was a part of my just life in the house was to hear this stuff. I was listening to P Funk and George Clinton stuff and Honey Drippers and fucking Ohio Players and all kinds of stuff like that. So when I started to hear a lot of East Coast hip hop, I could recognize the sounds, but it wasn't musicianship. It was them sampling records. So it had this soul texture to it, but none of the content, none of how they carried themselves on those records alluded to the energy of the songs they were sampling. When I started to hear Outkast and stuff like that coming to the South, it was different. It wasn't just them using soulful music. The whole way they were, the way Andre
Yeah.
rapped, and like it was just so much deeper
Yeah, it
of
was
an
it was
experience.
refreshing.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely,
refreshing.
absolutely.
Like, yo, I'm 100% Haitian. Like, talking about go home, everybody speaking one language, one type of food. Like, I didn't know anything about African American, but my brothers came from like New York, from Haiti to New York. They came down with like hip hop. So like hearing Wu Tang, hearing like just all New York East Coast music, and then going to school with like kids from the South, and then Outkast comes out. I was like, this is what y'all niggas need to be doing. It's like
Yeah,
this is us.
and
This is the South, and this is how we need to do it. Like it just was a different. It was different.
yeah, because I
Yeah.
remember listening to Outkast in interviews talking about how people compared them to New York artists and saying that it wasn't real hip hop and like all of this
Right,
stuff. I
right.
never experienced that growing up. I only experienced that with stuff that didn't have any content, any real texture, any real like meaning to it. Like people talked about Little John being whack, but I've never heard anybody disconnected from Outkast. It's just different. It's not just all Southern or all like that. That wasn't what it was. It wasn't just Southern music. It was people like Three Six Mafia. Nobody like people who I knew who grew up on New York East Coast hip hop. They didn't give a fuck about 3 6 Mafia because I think it was more about the content than it was about the fact that they were from the South. I never heard nobody talk crazy about Outkast. Everybody I know loved Outkast. But then they had people like somebody like E40 or something like that. They had to sell me on E40. I wasn't like, oh yeah, this is amazing. You listen to E40, I was like, what the fuck is he talking about?
That's
bro?
what I'm saying. Like that's what the South like. Growing up, like I wasn't exposed to Southern hip hop. Like it was just strictly New York. And then when Outkast came out, that's when I was like open minded to like Southern hip hop because I'm like, so this is what it is.
Yeah,
Like
I ain't
they
going
they
for.
opened my
They
mind up.
definitely. Yeah, go ahead.
I ain't gonna front either. When I first heard "Hey in the Middle of the Barn" by Crucial Conflict, I love that shit. I was like, this is some crazy shit right here. I wasn't. It just didn't hit me as that. What is this Southern bullshit? Some stuff was just dope, and it just stuck. It was awesome. But in other stuff, I guess when you didn't like it, it was easy to blame it on the fact that it was from the South. But nobody held. They weren't holding East Coast rap to the same standard. Like no people, you could listen to tons of bullshit from the East Coast, but it still had the bang that you were used to. But when you listen to some bullshit for some cats that got a Southern drawl, you're like, oh, this is some garbage music. So it was much easier to just kind of cast them off and say they're terrible. But we was listening to terrible shit from the East Coast. So
Right. But it was with the right. There's a lot of people who are like the Southern equivalent of like Noriega.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Like this isn't amazing, but it sounds really it's really geography specific.
yeah, yeah.
Like there's someone that lives in your building that looks and talks like Noriega. So you're down with but really it's not as impressive lyrically. Where there was a very high standard imposed on Southern artists where there was a really
But
low bar.
Andre,
But yeah.
Andre is millimeters behind Black Thought as the GOAT. Like when you pay attention to Andre,
Yeah.
Andre to me is in the second slot. Black Thought is the number one, my favorite, just as a craftsman MC. Like then, and then Andre is right after him
Yeah.
because you have to appreciate what he did with patterns and what he went on
Oh,
to
yeah.
do with just artistry in general, bro. And when he pops out now, he deads whoever he pops out with. It doesn't matter if you get a verse from Andre, you just have to step back and be like, I'm gonna get
This is his
ethered
song
on
now.
my own song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
exactly.
let it happen. Just let it happen. Don't even be mad. I remember when I first heard him on the "Walk It Out" remix. I was like, I think he did that on purpose. I think he did that on purpose. He was like, you know what? I don't like this man. Let me get on his song. Like that was just
My
disrespect.
favorite when it changed for me was when he hopped on UGK shit, that players anthem.
Yeah, yeah,
Bro, that
that's
verse
his
with
song.
no drums. And if you hear the story behind that, he basically told them, I don't like the drums on this. And they were like, well, what do you mean you don't like the drums? He's like, the only way I'll do it is if you let my verse be a cappella. And he said in the interview, he couldn't believe they let him do it because his verse is like 2 minutes long.
Yeah,
But they were like, it's Andre, and it's that song. When the drums come in, it's still good. It bops. But like, bro, his verse, and he directed the music video for that. Andre's a fucking animal, man.
Pimp
And when
C
you
was
look
mad.
back and shit, like, yeah.
Pimp C was mad
Yep.
about it. He ain't like that shit. But then, like they said, when you listen to Andre for that whole time with no drums, and then Pimp C verse come on and the drums hit it, it's like exalting his verse, right? So it's like it makes
Yes.
it better than it would have been anyway. So yeah, it all worked out. He's a genius, bro. But you have to be able to, you gotta be evolved in a way mentally to like Andre as much as you like Black Thought, because all the reasons that you like Black Thought for, some of those Andre don't hit those benchmarks, like his aggression or whatever. It's not there, but he's just as dope, just at another part of the spectrum.
Yeah, man.
Just
Listen
as
to Boldy James. He works with Alchemist a lot too. He's kind of like
If
a
I had a
Detroit
choice,
Andre 3000, in my personal opinion.
if I had a choice, who'd you say? What was the guy you talked about?
Boldy James.
Oh yeah, Boldy's nice, man. Boldy's super nice.
And
If
he
I
he
had
does
a
a lot of
choice
rapping with no
between
drums, and it's heavy.
Black Thought or Andre, it's not. And I love Thought. It would absolutely be Andre, because the one thing
Yeah,
about
same.
Andre, he would elevate the music sonically in ways that Black Thought doesn't really have that gear. Like Thought is a bar for bar goat. Andre is an artist, way more to me than Thought. Like his artistic expression, the way he approaches content. So I'm talking craftsmanship on Thought is my goat. But as an artist who I want to be more, I would rather be regarded like Andre is, because I would like to have the mainstream success, but also be able to just, now he's rolling around, with a flute in the Chicago airport. He's a fucking, he's
Well,
a, yo, he's a,
well,
As
He's an
he should.
artist.
well,
He's an artist.
the reason I would give it to Dre over Thought is Thought always approaches the music from the same vantage point. Like I
yes,
craft really precise bars. Andre has tackled subject matter from completely out of left field. Like
Right.
with
yeah, agreed.
cause Black, like think about the way Black Thought is talked about in his songs about his struggle with pleasing the audiences, right? And he has some braggadocious shit, and he's very mathematically precise. He's a surgeon of syllable placement. It's hard to argue that people convey their thoughts as precisely as he does. Like he's just there. But then think about that song, or think about that verse from Andre where he's like, I heard somebody saying something the other day, da, 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 like if you don't move your feet, then we don't eat. So we
Yeah.
like neck to
Yep.
neck. Talk about,
Yep.
Bruh.
so he's talking about being approached
Andre
by a
Andre
fan in the
does it
middle of the
better, man.
mall. Well, that's what I'm saying. So
I
Black
moved to
Thought
Atlanta.
always comes to every subject as an MC. On stage in front of you, I'm saying bars about this subject. Dre approaches things from a way like I would never even have thought to talk about this subject in that way that you
Exactly.
just did. Like
Listen,
that's yeah.
I moved to Atlanta and I listened to their first two albums. Everything that they say, if you experience Atlanta, you'll see it. It's the craziest thing. Like when he says something about like the Marta, like I forgot what verse and what song it was. Like when I saw the Marta and everything about it, and I heard about it, I experienced the Marta. I was like, it's just the album is still relevant to this day. Like even if you want to go visit Atlanta and listen to that album while you're visiting Atlanta, you'll have like a whole vision, like a whole different experience.
One more thing too, and I'm sorry, I don't want to do the takeover, but another thing when you guys were talking about the difference of the South and da, 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 there was no Southern sound. That'll be controversial. People say, "Oh, well, the Ghetto Boys came out." The Ghetto Boys were just NWA. If you listen to the sound, it's West Coast.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
Crucial Conflict, you could say that's West Coast. And what a lot of rappers were doing, they didn't, I guess, associate sonically. Like New York was like dark, heavy jazz type shit.
Master P went to
it, it
Oakland.
it sounded like being raped and murdered in the subway. Like you hear poles for snares, like that sonically, and dudes in the South really didn't resonate. They like the more colorful, upbeat kind
Yeah.
of shit of like the West Coast. And so NWA kind of gave the blueprint for how the South sounded. You didn't hear it really change until Luke kind of had drum and bass. You know what I mean? And that eventually kind of merged into what is trap now, like with the real heavy 808s and the tickety ticky tick hi hats.
No, I
But
definitely agree with that. The West
but
Coast definitely influenced the
but
sound. I
but
definitely
as
agree
a
with that.
unique Southern sound, I gotta give it to the Dungeon family and how they there was like some East Coast kind of shit in like taking little samples here and there, the drum patterns, right? The way they were rhyming on the record, like really precise, heady verses. But they took that East Coast shit and they turned it into something completely different. And now they have completely their own sound. And no disrespect to Texas or the legacy of the Ghetto Boys or anything like that. But at that point, there really was just two sounds. It was just East Coast and West Coast. And a
Yeah,
lot of Southern dudes related more to the West Coast shit. I think it's only now, like after Little John and the Dungeon family and the coming of Trap, that there really is a Southern sound now.
yeah, because it's now geared to, now they're trying to pinpoint it to Memphis because a lot of it is like Tennessee, Memphis sound what's going on right now. Like crunk, they say crunk
Yeah.
originated in Memphis, so
Dude, there was
it's
when you
wild, man. I
listen
love hip hop. I
when
love
you
hip hop.
listen to mid '90s East Coast stuff, a lot of those songs you could put in the same folder, right? This feels like this. This is kind of in the same energy. Tales of street hustling, crack peddling, all this. I rap better than you. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of that throughout all of hip hop in every region, but a lot of those you could put in the same folder. When I heard Cell Therapy by Goody Mob, I had
Yeah,
never heard anything like that ever.
Made me want to go back and listen to that shit.
I had never heard anything like that. That I mean, the content they were talking about, the way they delivered it, CeeLo singing his verse, which is probably one of the best verses in
Of
all of
time.
hip hop.
Under,
It's up there.
underrated.
Yeah, one of the
Underrated.
best verses in all of hip hop
Underrated.
history.
Not by hip hop dudes. I think everybody who listens and catches the precision of lyrics appreciates CeeLo. And when he came out, he was definitely the standout. Admittedly, if you like East Coast music, it took you a while to figure out what the other three of them were saying on a lot of
Yeah,
verses.
that's true.
Like
That's
it
true.
was tough.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, he was saying some shit. I just couldn't understand what the fuck he was saying. But CeeLo was just clear and lyrical and clever in a way where he was just an undeniable standout. Even
Yeah.
though I liked them as a group.
There
I
was no
watched a few
folder.
interviews about them. They said like a lot of the stuff that they talked about saved them, like in the West Coast when they do tours and stuff like that. I fuck with it.
Yeah, there was
Dude.
no folder to put cell therapy in. And I mean now, since my music tastes have kind of gotten a little bit wider since then, there's other things I could sort of, okay, this and put it here with that. But at the time, it was world breaking, bro. I was like, where the hell did this come from? And how did it stick so well? These are people who are supposed to like decide. It was presented like it was a different world. You know what I mean? Like they come from a whole different world. But especially the whole song, but especially his verse, it just stuck so well. There was no questions to be asked. It was perfect. He got his point across perfectly. And I don't know. I don't know nothing that I don't know nothing we could pull from our golden era that we could put next to cell therapy and be
Nah,
like, this is
man.
sort of like that.
That sound was special. Like I made me want to get the record, buy another record, just put it on vinyl, play it on a record. 8 o'clock in the morning,
Right.
cup of coffee.
Right.
That's everything about
here's
the
the-
music, the
here's
sound.
the fun
It's just, it's
That's-
just, it's
that-
crazy.
Here's a fun fact that I remember vividly. Do you know what came out the same day as that Goody Mob record? Do you remember?
Nah.
Was it the
Liquid
Fugees?
Swords.
Oh,
Liquid
shit.
Swords.
Wow.
So we were bumping those two records. So not only was that record amazing, it had to live up to, we were anticipating that Genius record for what felt like a lifetime, right? Because
Yeah.
that was what, the fourth drop or fifth drop. So they had already crushed it with Wu-Tang, Enter 36, Meth,
Demand, yeah.
Ray and Chef had come out. You know what I'm saying? Ghost had even dropped before that, and then Liquid Swords. So it was like, to be
Is
able
that
to
the
compete with that.
mysterious
and it
year
was.
where, like,
Ghost
God albums
dropped
came out?
Ghost dropped after Liquid Swords.
You're right.
Yeah.
Is that the mysterious
three-
year where God albums came out?
all
Like,
all the
just
God
like
tier.
Yeah, like all the God tier albums came out. Is
It
that the
might have
same-
been 94, man.
No, it was
Then-
95. The Liquid Swords
95.
and Cuban Links was 95. It's
Okay.
debatable. This is why I say 94 is the high watermark, because even the shit around it in 95 and 93 was fucking amazing. But 94, Artifact's first album, Nas' first album, Biggie's first album, Lords of the Underground had an album, Boogie Monsters dropped their first album. Like if you Meth was 94. If you loved hip hop, 94 had a lot of amazing shit that came out. But Liquid Swords was definitely 95, and so Outkast's first album was 94 as well.
Yeah.
But Liquid Swords was 95, and I believe
Shit was
Good
blowing
Goody
my
Mob
mind.
was 95. Yeah, dude, that era, just the and
That's
how
like a shotgun
much
in your
was
mouth,
quality.
bro. Like with just knowledge. and
But there's so
sound.
much throwaway.
samples,
There's so
just-
many
oh my
mediocre dudes now that have careers, and no disrespect to them. And hey, I'm not gonna knock their hustle, but when you talk about the level of talent, the ability for you to do something that nobody else can do, right? Like you can get auto-tuned, you can sing a little bit, and you can, and if you get the right producer, you can. And I think they've demonstrated this, is they've made careers out of a lot of people where it would be hard for you to tell me that that person is just as talented as a writer and there was just a level of demand. So for all of these people to have careers and putting out music, and for the level of quality, yeah, there's some shit that fell in there that was forgettable, but for the most part, everything that was coming out around that time, yo, this shit is wow. This shit is fucking amazing. I think what's up?
Why was that, you think? Why was it that? Was it just like a crescendo, or like, why do you think that was?
I
Perfect.
think that was just the last hurrah before it just
Yeah.
it was on its way to Wherever NWA had started to take it, Bad Boy was taking it the other leg, and then from there it was just everything that we would like sonically and that we thought was dope was like marginalized at that point. A Souls of Mischief wasn't relevant in that era that came after that. But yet in that era, you could have an Ultramagnetic, you could have a Wu Tang, you could have a King T, you could have the Alcoholics, you could have Snoop Dogg, and it's all kind of in somewhat the same bucket. But after that, it no, everything, and I think that's really when Lyricist Lounge he dropped, like Sound Bombing started. Like that was the era where there was like a new distinction of this shit is underground backpacker shit. This is not the direction where it's going anymore.
Yeah.
Where it was all kind of lumped together, and I think that's when just the dopest shit was coming out, you know?
Yeah. Lyricist Lounge, like you said, the backpacker thing, that was when everything diverged and there was a bottleneck kind of effect. And it kind of worked against the underground shit too because it separated everything so much. But the backpack rap was just a way to say that you weren't into anything playing on the radio. If it's on the radio, I hate it. That's when people will walk. You go to the club and people will walk up to you and complain about all the music and shit. That was the way to let people know what your vibe was. Because all I heard was actually at that time, early 2000s, right? That's when I had moved to Florida. When I first moved to Florida, so that was
such
when
a weird time.
It was, bro. Crunk music.
I
And
went to
shit like
reggae.
that.
I went straight to dancehall reggae. I was listening to Movado and Vibes Cartel,
which was just as much fuckery. We just really
Yes.
didn't understand
Yes.
or didn't really key into it. For some reason, you
Free
could
Vibes
listen.
Cartel. He's
You could
still
listen
locked
to
up
us.
to
Nah,
this
keep
day.
his ass locked up. Keep him in jail.
It's
Fuck that.
debatable. It's
Keep him in
debatable.
jail, B.
Snitch
It's
on him.
debatable. It's debatable.
But at the time, we could listen to Buju Banton sing a song about murdering homosexuals.
Yeah,
But nobody really caught. You just would sing the song and bounce around. None of it made sense. Like if you play Little John in a strip club, it makes perfect sense. The first place I heard Capleton was in a strip club. That doesn't make any sense at all. If you think about what he stands for, what the content of his music is, he's talking about Haile Selassie and burning Babylon, and chicks are shaking their ass and getting dollars to it. Although like it didn't make any sense, bro. I was a bouncer at the strip club, and every night they would play Capleton, Wings of the Morning. And I didn't know who he was at the time, so we was just bopping to it. And then later on, I figured out who he was and all the shit he talks about. I was like, oh, he would be livid if he knew where they were playing his music at, bro. He'd be so upset. But that's the mystique of dancehall reggae. You don't really know. I mean, I know the words "boom bye bye" in a Bati boy's head. Like I know what it means. But when you
2000
vibe
hip-hop
into it,
made me- 2000 hip hop made me have to sit down and listen to what I'm listening to, but I still vibe to it. I only went to reggae clubs, so I could go to a reggae club and dance. But if I went to a hip hop club, I'm not dancing. You can't make me dance. You can't make me vibe. You can't make me move.
and if you dance in the Vibes Cartel and Movado, it's the same fuckery. It's the
fucking-
same
If you want to go
fuckery.
like to deep down into niggerdom, like it's the same.
It's the same shit.
It's still gun violence, black on black crime,
And mad
do you
sex.
know?
It's the same.
You know what the most violent music that you would never know is the fucking Mexican music from south of the border, all the
Oh,
narco
yeah.
shit.
Yeah. They're,
It's all
they're
like-
crazy too. But we just
it's
don't
all
know
like-
Spanish.
And he's like,
And they talking about sawing off
like, yo,
sawing
I
off
don't
heads.
want
For the drug cartel.
shoot your toddler in the face, rip your wife's intestines
They're
out.
singing this at weddings.
Because exactly, bro. Exactly.
Unbelievable,
Fucking
bro.
wild, man.
Yeah, it's wild shit. It's
but
crazy.
2000 hip hop made me have to go realize the world is crazy.
Dude, that's when I started getting into old Gregory Isaacs and Barrington Levy and Max Roman. That's when I
Yeah.
discovered
Yeah.
70s reggae.
Yeah.
I
I
was
was
so
like,
disappointed with hip hop
Dude,
at that era. I was
everybody
like,
was
"Kid,
going to the club. Everybody loved Little John. Everybody was loving 50 and Ja Rule. And I'm like, this dude from the Mike Geronimo song, like this dude is like the main dude now.
Mhm.
Like that, I was like, yeah, this isn't for me anymore. I'm
And
out.
the
I gotta move.
fashion was wild too. I love it for what it was. Like when I go back and I'm like, It is what it is. The radio made us listen to this. It was the radio's fault because we didn't have no outlet until Napster and all that, and then they figured it out. We had to listen to the radio.
Nah, they
So
was
this-
making hits, B. You can't deny hit songs. If
That's
you
what I'm
you
saying,
can't
like-
deny it, bro. It
That's
just
I'm
is
saying,
what
like,
it is.
They forced this music on us, but they were hits. You know what I'm saying? Like they were hits. But like,
And if you even think, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
Go ahead.
even if you think about people that are still relevant now, that was when it was like,
Yeah.
Like, think about, like, who still talks about Streets Disciple?
Nobody.
You know,
yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Who still listens to the Blueprint 2 versus the
Yeah.
Blueprint or the Black Album? It's just everything around that era, even from people you love, you're just like, I don't know.
You
What was
notice like
making sense
all
musically then
all
just
the
was-
70s artists hated that era too. That's when all the 70s artists were like, this hip hop is not music. This is not music. It doesn't make any sense.
Nah,
That's when,
I
like,
think they were saying that shit from the beginning.
oh,
though.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
From the
definitely.
beginning, they were like, this trend, this is done.
But the songs we
even
the songs we
Yeah,
were
go ahead.
listening to, the songs they were making, I was completely confused. But those are the songs that made a lot of these guys rich enough to still be relevant today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was completely. I had no clue why Fat Joe was all over my TV screen.
Yes. That's
No
what
clue.
I'm saying.
No
That's what
clue.
I'm saying.
But he's
I was
still around
amazed that
today
he
because of
became
those songs.
Listen, Lil Wayne changed hip hop, but like when I started wearing skinny jeans and I'm like, I can't do this. Like it doesn't fit. It's not for me. I was like, I can't. I have to leave hip hop alone. I have
Yeah.
to go back.
You
somewhere
aged
else
out.
when they're-
You
when they're
aged out of
talking
hip hop,
about
bro.
murdering and they're talking about killing.
Yeah,
each
dude,
other.
I was
They
amazed
just do it
that
better over there.
with
I
with
couldn't
Fat
do-
Joe becoming a pop icon, like he's
Yeah.
literally the last dude that I expected to fall into that lane. Like I really thought like after Big Pun passed, like that would be the end. I
Yeah.
thought like
You
They
mean
kept
Fat
getting
Joe's
killed because Big
You
L
telling me you're
died.
surprised? You're telling me you're surprised that the doorman became a star?
right.
Joe looked like a fucking
Yeah.
Dude,
Yeah,
Fat
bro.
Joe was a fucking roadie for
Yeah.
like Diamond.
I
D.
know.
Like, when you talk about like just really just working his ass off, and listen, you could like Jealous One's Envy is pretty dope. That's when he started. But if you go back and listen to Fat Joe the Gangster, it's like this dude's not gonna be.
No.
This dude's not gonna know. He sounded like he was on the track to be like somebody like Nine. You know what I mean? It was like, he had an album, he kind of disappeared. He is in the 90s, he had a couple songs people remember, but he's not gonna be that dude. Even if he is kind of connected to DITC, he's just lyrically everything. He's not on that level. And then
Well, Pun blew him up, man.
well,
His
Pun
connection
started
with Pun
writing
is
for
what-
He
him.
was a good hustler though. Fat Joe's a good.
You
hustler.
got.
No,
I love
yeah.
Joe, by the
I
way.
respect.
oh,
him.
me too.
You know,
I absolutely love him.
It
I
is
just
what it is.
dude, when he was on there talk like he was by far the most violent shit talking dude in DITC. Without it, like if even on his little cameos where he's talking about just murdering everybody, like he was just really on some like this dude's never gonna be palatable for like pop mainstream success, and he absolutely was. That's all I'm saying is being shocked in that
Cut
regard.
to him grinding on a shanty, right? Like cut to him like
good,
all
right?
of a
Good for
sudden
him,
became
right? Amazing.
a fucking sex symbol all of a sudden. Like, why
Yeah.
is Joe the guy?
Yeah. Every song he had, he mentioned how many trains he runs with Big Pun. Like, yes, all we do is go to Miami and run trains on
What a
chicks.
visual
You're
that
like,
is.
oh no,
Poor
thank
girl.
you.
Right.
Poor girl.
Poor girl just getting totally pummeled.
Getting
And
pummeled.
the-
for-
And then Pun
Yeah.
they couldn't even slap hands because Pun couldn't reach. His arms were so short they couldn't even slap hands.
But they was having fun, and he and
Blessed
fucking
dead, by
Joe
the
is
way.
still
That's
here.
R.I.P. the hip hop heroes.
Joe is still here doing interviews, making bread, doing like
Making
Yeah.
noise.
unbelievable,
Making noise.
unbelievable,
Makes
bro.
noise every once in a while.
But that goes to show you can't listen to the chatter, right? You can't think about what other
Right.
people think. You just got to do you. Go, and he had a lot
Yeah.
of friends in the industry too, which helps. I
Yeah.
remember talking to him in an interview about how he said he was sitting at home at 3:00 in the morning, and Irv Gotti called him, told him to come to the studio. And when he got
Yeah.
there, it was What's Love playing in the background, like, "Yo, hop on this." Like, that's an excellent place to
can't
be.
Knock the hustle.
Right? It's
You
beautiful.
cannot
I'm
knock
happy
the
for him.
hustle.
I'm happy for him. Now, like I said, this is where art is at right now. This is you got to get out of your own way and just do your thing. Turn down the noise everybody else is talking and say fuck it and just do
Thank you, 2000 Reggae. I loved you.
Yeah, for saving me from Little John.
It was deadly. The streets were. If you think drill music was bad, 2000.
Oh, yeah.
Dance hall
Yeah.
Yo.
You play some reggae dance hall with subtitles, it'll change your whole life, bro. You'll be like, is this what I've been dancing to this whole time? Did he just say bone marrow is going to fly in the air? Is that what he said? Like, yes.
Chop his head off.
That's
put
exactly
it over
what he
the
said.
stove.
Make the bone marrow fly. That's what he
Murder
said, man.
them, murder them, and you just dance to it. You just
Right.
dance to it.
And for some
The whole
reason, it didn't
dance.
feel violent. I don't know why it didn't feel
No.
violent, but hey, that's the mysticism of reggae, right? Right.
Well, that's hip hop borrowing from reggae to become what it is, and then when it returned it back, like, hey, I got some stuff for you guys. It's like, oh yeah, so these songs about Haile Selassie and repatriating back to Africa, we're just gonna turn that into blowing bone marrow out of people's arms. Like, thanks for bringing this back to us. We really
Yeah.
appreciate
One of my
it. Here's
favorite
DJ
songs-
Culture, and you brought it. Yeah, go ahead.
One of my favorite songs is Beanie Man and Barrington Levy, and it starts off with Beanie Man saying, "Wake up one morning.
Yeah.
Have you ever wake up one morning
And
with an
saw-
M16 nozzle at your jaw? What
Yeah.
would you do?"
Yeah, that's a hell of a way to start a song, pal.
It's fucking bars, bro. You feel like you want to run, but you can't. Like, fuck, that's fucking bars.
And you don't even hear it
Wow.
because of the voice, the music, and you
Yeah.
smoke 3 spliffs already. So you just in the vibe, yo. Yeah,
Yes.
I love it. I still listen to more reggae than I do anything else. That's
Yeah.
reggae is my shelter from the rest of everything.
I've already hypnotized my kids to reggae, so I'm forever gonna be like, my dad always drove us 6 hours with smoking some spliff and just listening to reggae. Like I already hypnotized them to it.
That's a
Like,
great way to grow up, honestly.
Yeah, I'm telling you, like it's just that's gonna be part of their story.
It's a
Like,
great way to grow up. I would rather listen to that. Because there's so much alternative. The same, I guess the alternative does exist in hip hop still, but the big problem a lot of people talk about was how it wasn't spread out enough. It was a time where you could find MOP at the same time you could find Common Sense and Busta Rhymes and
Right,
Diggable
right.
Planets and all of that shit. And now, as it moved on, they kind of closed the gap for a lot of these other sounds and energies to be present, and they just kind of whittled it down to whoever was the most financially viable. That they became the most successful, and then Drake came to save the day. He softened hip hop back up.
yeah.
It was about to become a full-on death cult until Drake came, and everybody was mad at him. Of course, if you out here shirtless DMX, how could he possibly like Drake? So that doesn't make any sense. He's like, these
Once
are the people.
DMX apologized, dude, Drake was solidified. He's like, I fuck with Drake. He wrote me a check.
Oh no, yeah, he was on it regardless. He was going to win regardless. It was better for DMX to apologize than it was for Drake. Drake was already on, run after run after run. DMX was struggling at the time that he said he hated Drake. So that was a better move. That was a PR move for him to say he changed his position on that.
Yeah.
But Drake wasn't nothing stopping that machine, bro. And hip hop needed it. Where was it going to go?
The only group that, when I think of the 2000s, that on a mainstream level, that I could really ride with and that I still respect today is the Lox. Like,
Oh yeah.
Styles,
Oh,
the
yeah.
way they approached that space, when you look at their legacy and how good they were actually at rap. And I used to I don't think Luch is great. I don't think Sheik's is all that great, but I've come to realize how much I slept on Styles. Like, I like Styles P, but as I've gotten older, I've looked back and been like, yo, Styles P is a true
He's the
MC.
true goy of the Locks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's just when you finally get him, you're like, damn, you've always been incredible. But
Yeah.
it just Jadakiss makes it hard for you to notice how good he is.
I'm glad they had that versus with Dipset, because the Dipset era for me, I wasn't really with it. Once Cameron
Couldn't
wore
tell
the
you a
pink,
Dipset song. Yeah.
once the Cameron did the pink thing,
And that's the
people in
2000s as well, right?
Yeah, I was in high school.
Yeah. I
Once
was out,
Cameron
man.
came
I was
out
already
and
out.
Dipset came out, kids were wearing pink, Air Force Ones were pink. Like, it just was a weird time for me. I'm like, it just was that time when boys were blue, girls were pink. My whole life. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden,
Dinosaur racist bigotry.
yes, that's what I'm saying. All of a
It's about-
sudden, 2005, 2003, 2004,
Yeah.
boys are wearing pink. I couldn't rap.
Well,
It was my brother and Tommy Hilfiger just all over again. That's all.
Cleanse the bigotry.
I couldn't-
Cleanse the
I
bigotry.
couldn't wrap my head around.
If there was
I
a
couldn't
better
wrap my head
rapper,
around.
if a better rapper had been doing it, it might have went over better. But
Yeah.
the fact that it was Cameron just gave us even more
Yeah,
reason to
so
hate it.
What
I'm
the
happy
wild
those
is-
guys did their verses and they won that. because they were the
What's
better. They
wild
were the
about
better.
all this time period is that me and Wagwan here, we dropped our record right at the top of all of that. We dropped the Double Helix record in 2003, and we were on some. I was the white KRS-One. He was like Buju Banton and Black Thought had a baby, and like we did this thing, and it was at the time of all of that stuff. It was
Yeah,
like
no, it's
everyone's
prophecy.
listening to
It's
Dipset.
Yeah.
like, listen, before you guys go ahead and dive headfirst into the abyss, I just want to remind you what you're abandoning. Here's
Right.
the national culture dope shit that hip hop used to be and has been forever, but I see where this is going. So
Yeah.
I'm just go ahead and putting this little line in the sand, peeing on this tree, and letting you know that eventually
It's
it's
the heart
going
of
to
the
have to
tree.
come back to this.
John
Yeah, we would've
Brown.
When you
signed-
think about
Still forever.
I kind of feel
When you
like you
think
guys ruined hip hop. Like after Soundproof came out, hip hop just started to suck. It was the last
think about the name of that record, right? Like we weren't listening to the noise,
Right.
You know, like we were like
Right.
soundproofed from all of that stuff. So it's interesting, and that didn't dawn on me until just this moment. Like we know we named it that. It was like soundproof, like you can't get through us, like bulletproof. Also, the proof is in the sound. That was what we were on. But when I look back at it, there was a cacophony of nonsense happening around us, even in the city.
It
You know what I'm
was
saying? Even
terrible.
like all respect to Ghost and Funk Ghost and all those guys, but they were much more like they had jumped on that mainstream thing. They were making some like pseudo Dipset shit, and we were like, man, fuck that. You know, this is what we're doing. We're gonna do some roots reggae and some fucking BDP shit right now with Tribe, and it did well because I think everyone was like that fucked with us, at least, was like, we don't want to go that direction. We want to follow you guys. You know.
We were the sign on the road that said last exit for 100 miles. It's like, so if you go past this, you just go end up wherever you end up. But this is your last chance to get off, bro. Right here.
Last-
It's about
last
it's about a
20
it's
years.
about a 20-year bridge ahead of you. Just murder jingles nonstop.
For real,
Hip
bro.
hop. It's
But
all out
yeah,
there.
it's real shit though. But I'm happy to be where we are right now. We saw things change and evolve over the years, while we were also changing and evolving over the years, which is beautiful. To just end up here now, where things look so advantageous again, it feels like the vortex is totally in our favor. Everything that we were working to become over the last few years is starting to reemerge in society. The paradigm is shifting. People are talking about microdosing and spiritual healing, and people are looking again for that mystic texture, that nostalgia texture. It's like people just found their way back to it. And the energy, the funny thing is, the energy that we had back in the day when everything was fresh was to preach about it and be like, oh, this shit sucks. Why do y'all listen to that? Why we better than them? Then we shut up, kind of lived our own lives, did what we wanted to do, and the world changed around us and put us right back in this space where we can take full advantage.
Story of my
Thing that
life. Story of my
I was
life.
saying this to you the other day. We have turned out to be who we said we were. So we were 24 years old at that time, and we were talking way bigger than our bridges.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? We were espousing who we want to be. We're actually those guys now.
Right. Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like I'm who I said I was, and I think that's true of Yasin. That's true of Thought. Like those kind of guys, they turn out to prove everything I was saying is who I am, including Andre, whoever. Like our heroes, we are those guys. You know, I've taken detours here and there, drug addiction, divorce, all kinds of wild shit. But I am who I always said I was. You know, I was an MC, a prophet, whatever you want to call it. So it's good to like look back and be like, we really are those guys now. Where before we were just saying who we want. That's who we think we are.
Right.
We're too young to be that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I listened to some of the bars I said on Soundproof. I was like, I had no fucking clue what I was talking about. I knew it sounded cool.
Same.
It sounded cool to say that kind of shit, but I hadn't had any psychedelic experiences. I knew spirituality was attractive to me, but I wasn't investing in it in any type of real way. I wasn't meditating. I wasn't working to be this natural mystic. I just knew that it was attractive at the time. So instead of rapping about, robbing motherfuckers, I was like, nah, I'm gonna talk about sipping dreams from a canteen and shit. I would say that shit, but there was nothing in my actual life that was bringing those principles into reality. It was just something that I thought was cool. It was something I was pointing at. And then now to look at it now, like that's exactly what I would say now. just a little bit less aggression and
Right.
shit like that, a little bit less comparison to other people. But yeah, I've evolved into the person I was rapping about 20 years ago. That's fucking wild.
Yeah,
It's wild.
I could say the same thing too. It's crazy because a couple years back, I remember reading like all these books, learning all these things, trying to figure out this, trying to figure out that, and then just living life and being quiet and staying away from things, and then coming back and listening to what's going on to the world. It's like I never left, and then like it's like you guys are listening to the wrong information.
But that's
'Cause
also
it's like
why.
it's
That's also why you
crazy.
can't change. You can't try to get in people's way because you never know where any of these things lead. There's too many variables. There's
right.
Oh
too
yeah,
much at
Right.
bro.
play.
Tyreek. When I learned about Tyreek, he was talking about relationships. Now he's like FBA God.
Right. Yeah. FBA is Foundational Black American for anybody who's not
Yeah,
aware.
like he started off talking about macking women and not in a negative way. Like he was giving like real good relationship advice, but he used the word max would turn people off. But like now, when he made his Hidden Colors, that's when he like broke into the Hotep Niggadom community, and then he ran after that, and it's just a crazy world we're living in. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I don't
beautiful. It's exactly what it's supposed to be. And when you remove yourself from other people's equations, it makes even more sense. When you stop trying to be like, you shouldn't be doing that. The only thing we have, the only responsibility I think we have as humans is to lead by example. If it's something
Oh
that
yeah.
you don't think humans should be doing, don't do that shit. And that's just pretty much as far as it goes. When you get up on your soapbox and start talking shit, the things that you try to save people from could be leading them to their highest enlightenment. It could be leading them to the most
Right.
beautiful realization they've ever had in their lives. And if you get in their way, you could be blocking that shit for them. So it's not about us inserting our will to project it onto other people. It's for you to live it out yourself. These things that make us uncomfortable when we look at other people, those are the things that usually, more than likely, it's the things that we have the propensity to become if we're not careful. So we're repulsed by it when we see it in other people. But it's not about changing them. It's about making sure you don't fall into the same trap. But
Right.
it's a blind spot because we don't see ourselves that way. We always see ourselves as, yeah, I'm gonna make all the best decisions. I'm not a hypocrite like everybody else. And it's like, all right, you get comfortable in that shit if you want to. You rest on that laurel if you want to, and you will wake up and find yourself smack dab in the middle of the shit you said you never wanted to be. And then what?
Well, it's something I think about often too. It's a bar that I have. Is like a wise man speaks in the first person, not the third. Like it's so easy to talk about change outside or like try to lead people to a certain place. But if you can focus on leading, like figuring out how to grow yourself, you don't have to say anything to them. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? What you're doing, the way you're living your life is the proof, the
Yep.
sound proof. Hey, tag it, put it on the fucking-
Always,
Yeah.
always leading by example. And it's difficult. That's the hardest thing to do because
so hard.
it's very difficult to hold yourself accountable for your own actions because your brain's always going to tell you you're right. If you're like, if you could be leading doing like a forum and taking money from people to do a whole symposium about dating, and you say whatever you do, you never raise your voice at your woman. But if you in the house with your own lady and some shit happens, it's easy to just yell at her and then be like, yeah, well, I know I teach people not to yell at their women, but she was bugging. So your brain will it'll just tell you you're right. And you'll accept it on an internal cellular level. It'll feel right. It's very difficult to really look at yourself and be like, damn, I'm not living up to what I claim I think is the way to be. So that's a hard pill to swallow, man. So your whole internal chemistry will just ignore that shit and swipe it right off the table and be like, nope, you're fine. It's very, very
Yes.
easy.
Yeah, I think a big part of spirituality is getting an increasingly better view of how full of shit you are.
Yes.
I think
yes.
that
Yes.
Amen.
Self-awareness.
and
Mm.
and
That's
and,
right.
and I think that a lot of people just want to stay away from that. It's uncomfortable, but really, it's like you got to do it.
Absolutely.
You got to do it, or you're not going to progress past your shit. Like you said, so there's always going to be a justification of why you needed to do that. Everybody else is a piece of shit when they yell at their wife, but you don't understand that my situation is different.
Yeah.
So I need a separate standard, and that's really the moral of the story of morality is just hypocrisy. Like that's it. That's the number one thing you should be looking for, and you should hold people account for their own shit, and you should let them talk themselves into a corner when they try to explain. Because without exception, every single time human beings are taken advantage of by a grifter, there's always hypocrisy throughout. Like
Yep.
extreme levels of hypocrisy, and nobody heeds the warning signs.
Yep.
Like, wait a minute, so we're not supposed to fuck our wives, but you're fucking all of our wives. Exactly. Next.
It's the burden of sex. I've taken on the burden of sex for all of you.
Yeah, I did you a favor. Let me reframe for you. And that was how he sold his shit.
Yeah.
The very thing I'm telling you not to do, I'm doing it. Wait till you get a load of the explanation of why I'm doing all the shit I'm telling you not to do.
My personal favorite is the speeding sheriff who doesn't need a ticket.
Right.
I'm the sheriff.
Right. And that's all of us. Complicitous. That is all of us. That's who we are.
Yes, all
as
of
a
us.
species, bro. We do that. It's so easy. Your mind will knit that shit together. Fuck you, hooray for me. You watch somebody slip and fall at the ice skating rink, we all laugh and point. You slip and fall, like, you better not fucking laugh at me. That's not funny. You were just laughing at the other person that fell. That's different. Okay.
And it could literally happen within 2 seconds.
2 seconds, and you won't even notice.
You could fall while you're laughing at the big picture, and you'll still get upset.
You won't even notice. It's such an amazing mechanism, bro.
The best way to fight that is to, when you fall and slip, laugh at yourself and say, "Man, I fucked up."
Right.
That's it.
That's
Just be like, "Oh, that was embarrassing."
Right.
Out loud, everybody heard you. Just make it worse. It
Right.
humbles you. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Whenever, like, I see a pretty woman and my elbow hits like the door, and it's like, "Oh fuck, I fucked up."
We were just talking about
That's
this yesterday. I have a investor guy I was trying to get to invest in my project, and he ghosted me for 30 days. Like, didn't hit me nothing. Last text I sent him was like, "Yo, let's link. We got to get all this shit figured out." And didn't ghost me. And then he sends me a message a couple days ago saying, "Yo, I'm going through some personal stuff. Can you chat? Like, I need a favor." And I took 2 days to respond, and I just said, "Yo, I'm ending the year in a meditation because I don't really want to be getting on the phone. I'll hit you after the new year." And it didn't even deliver because he blocked me. You know what I'm saying? And that's that's the same. Think about that, bro. Like, someone will do something, right? When you give them their medicine back, they will react vehemently because it's a projection, right? We're all running around projecting our shit on other people. And we do that with beautiful stuff too, man. I've been Captain Save-A-Ho for my whole life because I'm an honorable, honest man. And so when I meet a woman, I will project that onto her, even though she's showing me signs that she ain't into that. She's not mature enough. But I'll get married, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna lock her down. I'm gonna lock her down because I'm projecting. It's not just bad stuff that we project. We also project our altruism on people, and that's how we get hurt and get deceived and stuff, is because we're not paying attention to who they really are and where they're really at. You know what I mean? But it's hard because we
instead of fixing ourselves.
Bro. Exactly. It's a vicious cycle, man. It's vicious.
Facts.
But that's why I live alone now, bro. I live alone and eat boot stoof. You know what I'm saying?
The hermit life is the way to go.
Yeah,
Hop
man.
on a
Look,
train.
dude, it's a beautiful endeavor, and you learn so much about yourself, but it's so hard to find somebody that's on board to learn and grow and own their shit. There's somebody that's at the same place you are in your life and being honest about their fuckery. When it's calibrated correctly, it's a beautiful learning experience. But it's
exactly
just so hard because our culture isn't producing a massive amount of people that are on that path. So I wouldn't know. Like, I know I lucked out. It's one of the most. I wouldn't even know what to tell somebody. Like, there's all these people out there giving dating advice and blah 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 blah. There's no point
when there's so many actors. There's nothing. There's no advice you could give. There's nothing you could say. Like, you give the tools, you give the techniques, you give this is what you got to do. Take your time. But there's just so many actors that portray a certain way. It just people get fooled.
And people will come with it, especially dudes. Dudes will come with the selling points,
especially dudes,
all the time, and be complete pieces of shit. But just the personal alchemy between man, woman, and child, and create it's nation building in your own household. It makes you look at the whole world differently. How to be patient with people that are learning, getting yourself reflected back to you. Because you're not holding yourself accountable like someone who's with you every day and has those blind spots within their sights that you're just missing. And then you start to see it and you're like, holy shit, like this is like raising humanity. Like, and I'm gonna die, and these fucking kids are gonna go out to the world and to some degree carry on the legacy of whatever jewels I gave them. You know what I mean? Like, this is all where it happens, and if you and the woman aren't calibrated to do that correctly, it's dysfunctional, and the
Can you
kids don't
imagine?
get that message.
Can you
and-
imagine dying and your kids believe in Santa Claus the whole time? Like that's just so much
Bro,
dysfunction.
I was so
Like,
proud of my son. We were at a little friendsgiving last weekend, and he was smoking some weed with a couple of my friends, and my one homeboy is my homeboy was like he's an amazing guy, but he'll say it himself. He's kind of he has a negative outlook. He's a super into the earth, and he feels like everything's dying. He's one of those house fire people, like everything's going
Yeah.
bad. So he asked Isaiah, and he goes, "Hey man, so tell me, what do you want? What does your generation want? We fucked everything up for you. What do you think is the answer?" And Isaiah goes, "Well, in my opinion, if everybody would deal with their own bullshit, we wouldn't have any problems. Like on an individual level." He's like, everyone wants to fix the world, but nobody wants to, because he's dealing with that with his mother. His mother refuses to get therapy. I'm a therapy holic. I've done it all, bro. I've drank all this medicine. I want to be better. And he's got the opposite of his mom, like head buried in the sand, consumerist. And at first he was like, my friend sat back, and I had to kind of translate it to him because it was so on point to him individually and everybody in the room. So I think there's actually going to be a lot more children. I would assume you're raising your children with that level of awareness. Like people like us, that's why healing is so important. It's not really for us. We're planting seeds that we won't even see the tree of. We're not going to see the results of the battles we fought to be better men. But it's wildly important that we do that if we actually care. And that's the thing, man. When you meet people, one of my friends is a raging alcoholic, and he'll drink tequila at 5 o'clock in the morning, but he'll yell at me for putting a soup can in the wrong bin. He'll be like, "Oh, you're ruining the earth." I'm like, "Bro, you're an alcoholic. It's all connected."
That's
my battle.
You know what I
my
mean? But
battle
that's
is cheating.
America, bro.
My battle
That's
is
America.
cheating, man. I argue with cheating, man. That's my battle. But it's like, look, if you want to fuck up numerous women, just be single. Just be single.
yeah.
Right, exactly.
or get chicks that are on board with your program.
Exactly.
But
That's what I'm
living-
working on right now.
dude. And I listen. I give you all the credit in the world. There's no plans within our cult to have any harem activity, but we would absolutely support an offshoot. If you take on the
I mean,
burden of
I'm
sex
just-
for your
I'm-
movement, by all means.
I straight up tell them, like, look, and I got hella that are in the orbit right now. They all want in because they know what time it is. And I tell them all, I'm like, this is about all I can give you. You hit me on a Wednesday and be like, "Hey, I want to spend the weekend together." Great. We'll eat food. You'll have a bunch of orgasms. We can even go on a hike. And then I'm not going to talk to you for at least a week after that. I'm not going to text you because I don't want to be responsible for your expectations of how your life's supposed to go. I've done it. I paid into that, bro. I was in the mob for 15 years. You know what I'm saying? I was married for 15 years. I got out. I don't want to be back in.
Said he
You know
was
what
in the
I'm
mob.
saying? I don't know if that's because
I feel you though. I feel you.
I don't know if that's
feel you.
because I'm jaded or because I've given my everything to women, bro. I'm a serial monogamist.
Let me
married 15
let me
years.
tell you something. So I had the same problem as you in a sense. Not like I didn't like jump into things, but the advice that I heard recently in Plenty of Blackfish, if the person's not ready and you're ready, it's never gonna work. Like it has to be two ready parties.
And I ain't
Absolutely.
found one.
Has
yet,
to be
bro.
two ready
You
parties.
don't have
But
to be a
it's
bad,
under,
bro.
but it's understandable if you, because most people get into these arrangements really just looking for their own happiness, and they never really invest of themselves into it. So they can jump from one place to one place. It's fine. Like I'm not really ever putting much in this basket. So when the floor falls out, I'm worried. I'm not worried
Right.
about it. But if you've exhausted, that's what he meant by saying I was in the mob for 15 years. For 15 years, hey, it'd be a shame if anything happened to this marriage. So why don't you just go ahead and pay what you owe? All right, I'm gonna invest all of myself into it. To not get that reciprocated in depth on that level,
Yep.
right? The level of exhaustion and disappointment.
You have to be a
And-
mad man. You have to be a
But
mad
nobody.
scientist.
But there's women that do it for men too. But you can only do it for so long And there's no way that you could expect somebody to come out on the other end of that. It's like, hey, you want to just pour yourself into this new vessel? Do you want to go and do this? Yeah, let's just no. That's like it makes
Well, because
sense.
you know what it is,
Yeah.
man, is it's the thing that, and it's a fairy tale. We've all, like, if you talk to brother Wagwan, right? He's been with his lady for a long time, and he'll tell you, and I'll tell people, yo, you want to know what it's like to really be in love and have an actual functioning relationship? It's like being a fucking construction worker. You better put your hard hat on and pour that motherfucking concrete. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's work. It's not all. It's not all fucking eloping to the beach and writing poetry and sending
Yeah, that's
notes.
the
Like,
first
no,
six
that
months.
shit is
After that,
labor.
it's work time.
It's labor, and you got
Yeah.
to be willing. Like, my thing is it worth it? You know, and I'm over the thing. I can get pussy whenever I want, bro. I'm very desirable. I got game. I can get laid whenever I feel like it. So that ain't it no more. It ain't that. It ain't pussy. I'm gonna need something that is outside the realm of that. I need a road dog. And the main thing that I've run up against, and you called it out, Yakub, you called it, accountability, man. I'm gonna tell you right now, out of any people I've met, women do not know how to be wrong. They're real good at being
It's
right.
harder for
But
them.
if I catch you catch them, and it's some low down, they can't go anywhere. They'll gaslight you immediately.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
been my experience.
Yeah.
That's
But
been
what-
my experience. It's
What
Yeah.
I
my
what I've
fault.
learned,
But
if
once
you
they
got,
do it, that's when it's a wrap for me.
I
Same
think
here.
I think it's more of a I think sometimes they could be more fragile in that regard. So it's harder for them to take that criticism. What I've learned is you can never have a full frontal assault. And I'm very used to
Oh,
communicating with men.
same.
That's where I'm comfortable with men. Me and Surreal have had these conversations a whole bunch of like, dude, this is why you're fucked up. Hear me out. And it's fine. You understand, like, hey, this person loves me, they care about me, they're trying to help. You can do that in the same context, and it's harder with the woman. It's immediately like defensive, right? But and again, and so many comedians have pointed this out. Yeah, but you talk about what's wrong with me nonstop. I can't bring up a single thing. And the way that I've learned is you have to let them come to those conclusions on their
Yeah.
own. All
But
you can do is
that's
set
what
up the
That's what I'd rather do. I'd rather that person who's made that conclusion. I'm not even going to waste my
but
time.
Well, here's
but
the
there's
thing. I'm a poet, bro. I never bro. I'm a metaphor master machine. Like, I will tiptoe. You know what I'm saying? I'll leave breadcrumbs. I don't come at them. I'm
Right.
soft, bro. I don't ever. It doesn't
too
matter.
that's the best
too
way to
blunt.
teach.
I'm too
Yeah.
blunt.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. I keep it in the first person. I'm like, I need to grow in these ways, and then I wait. I'm like, and
that's
you
wisdom.
maybe have something to grow, and she's just like, nope, I'm a goddess. I'm good. I float on water. Pick up the dishes. I'm going out with my girls. It's like,
Yeah, no, I'm out of here. I see.
spoiled ass princess syndrome, bro. They
Oh,
think
bro.
they're fucking, rainbow bright.
It's your
shit. No,
geography too, though.
Alright.
I think the culture is
Maybe.
your neck of the woods is definitely way worse. Like culture at large in America is bad, but culture like in the LA area, like that particular
yeah.
part of geography,
Oh yeah.
it's
Yeah,
a special
yeah.
kind of. I'm
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
not looking at my shit. I think the you'd have to go to Miami to get something on par, with the level of expectation and
I
just
wouldn't
the
say
mindset.
I wouldn't say that one either. I would go
Miami's
Seth,
pretty
Georgia.
bad, dude.
maybe I can't think of
Sefner.
McDonough. If you go, yes, Sefner.
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 Iowa.
McDonough.
Go to
McDonough,
Iowa.
Georgia,
Find the one black
Savannah.
girl in Iowa.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Idaho.
you got to get a bitch from Wyoming.
Flyover
Yeah.
sticks.
You're not. You cannot go to Miami and find.
I'm good. Here's the
Queen.
answer. I don't want none of that. All I want is a handful of women that want to touch on the goldenrod every now and then and be with a fly motherfucker, and that's it.
That's
I've
cool.
passed the point of no
As long as you're
return.
being honest. As long as you're being
'Cause I
honest. and
just
everybody
also-
respects it.
I can see down the road. I've done it, right? It's like, imagine you build a business and you blow it up, and over 15 years it becomes really successful, and then someone goes, hey, I want to start a business with you. You're like, you have no idea how much work it is to have that business. That's what it feels like. They
Right,
come to me
but-
with a proposal.
Oh yeah.
I want to be your lady. I'm like, you don't got the pedigree to be in
But
business with me,
but
baby.
you're in a position to lay out your program. If ever
I
you
am.
were
That's
gonna
what I'm
have a cult and a harem, like now's the time. Your resolve is such that you're not trying to to go in love and to say, look, if you want to stick around, if you want me to do this emotional judo with you so that I can help you, because you're not bouncing things off in your own mind, and this shit is crippling you, but you're utilizing my emotional chemistry for yourself, like
Yeah.
you're using me to
Yeah.
calibrate yourself in a way you need me for that. Okay, I'll give you that. And you're in the expectation of getting that in the context of a relationship. Cool. This is what a relationship looks like. I will give you that, but it's going to be on my terms and in my program. Like, you have the resolve now at this point with being jaded. Like, there's a positive here. I guess what I'm saying, I'm rooting for you. I would love to give anything you need and help in terms of like negotiating contracts. I'm down to just help you write up some shit of how it should be laid out.
It's tough out
Dude,
here, man. There's fuckery out here though.
but that
Babylon's
has to be
crazy.
terms. And right
But
now,
man, but
everything's in the terms of serving
yeah,
the crazy demands of women who have become more shallow than ever and have no
Yes.
clue on how to be happy. No
That-
clue.
You know,
on
and
how to-
I'm in this
Zero.
I'm in the spiritual community too, and it's rampant, man. Like, spiritual girls and spirituality in general right now is a real serious cloak for shadow bullshit, because
yeah,
people
you gotta
they
blame the
they,
Hotep
they
niggas for that. They destroyed
you
them.
know, yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm
They,
with
they
you. They put
destroyed it.
all of their identity into this wisdom teacher
All
goddess
for pussy.
archetype.
All for
Yep.
pussy.
And it came in droves too. They got all of it for
Droves. They got all.
years.
They manipulate them into having 3 of them, 4 of them, 5 of them, and it's
I see,
it's
and
ridiculous.
that's why I think intentional community is so important. That's why I think it's going to be such a big part of the model that humans move into in the near future, is because a lot of these things that's playing out between people, it's just making it worse that you don't have your own place, like you said, with your own rules, your own you can't make your own rules and regulations if you live on the block with thousands of other people who don't agree with you. You know, you can only sweep your porch so many times before the neighbor's dirt starts flowing onto yours and creates conflict. If you're not willing to pool your resources together with other people, like, you know, not to, you know, quote the whole movement itself, but Dr. York did it. Dr. York was like, yo, we just gonna go get some land, we gonna live in pyramids, and I'm gonna bang all y'all wives and some of your children. Like, that was what he decided to do. But you gotta respect the fact that
that I'm laughing.
you gotta respect the fact that he was willing to go that far. So, and I think that's what's coming. I think people are gonna have to just put their foot down and say, you know what, this shit ain't working for me, and I'm gonna just get me a little piece of land, and this is how we're gonna do it on my land. I think that's gonna bring a lot of peace and a lot of comfort to the people who want to exist in their own paradigm. But you can't make those decisions if you live in an apartment building. You can't, because all these other energies, all these other people, you can only block it out but so much. Most of your time won't be spent growing and expanding. It'll be spent just trying to block other people's shit.
right.
It's unsustainable.
This civilization is not conducive to producing functional human beings with functional relationships.
No.
And there's a lot of profit incentives to continue the dysfunction. It's like we're in the privatized prison section of like culture. Like, culture is meant to create more chaos so it can sell more of that shit. Like, it's just there is some sort of element to separation. And that doesn't mean you can't engage the larger culture as a whole. But if you are completely immersed in it, like you were talking about, your ex is on that vibe, like just autopilot consumerism. I think that's the default setting for a lot of people. Especially, I see it more prevalent. I think that's why there's that proverb, you know, one man out of 1,000 I have found to be righteous, but a righteous woman I have found not. It's not talking about there's no women with like good character or that are worth a fuck. It's just saying when it comes to wanting to engage these deep questions about meaning and morality and the righteous way to live, it's like you'll find a lot of people that don't give a fuck about it. You'll find a handful of dudes that are on the shit that you're on, but a woman, you're gonna have to teach her that. She's just not gonna be
And
interested
yeah.
in that.
That's
shit
why
as
she
you
looked
are.
back then became a salt pillar.
Pillar of salt, you know.
She couldn't let it go.
But and also she's got to somewhere deep down inside, that's got to be just what she wants. She might not realize that's what she wants, but it's like she'll understand when you present it to her in a certain way. Something inside her will trigger and say, "All right, you know what? This is interesting." But if you dealing with a woman who is fundamentally just wants to live out a harlot lifestyle, not that there's anything wrong with that. You get out there, get all the miles of pipe you can fit inside yourself. If that's what's going to make you think that's what's going to make you happy, go for it. I'm not going to get in your way. I'm not going to shame you or nothing. But if that's what she wants to live,
do it.
yeah, if that's what she wants to live, that has to happen. You can't try to take that woman and turn her into something else. You got to find somebody who's already leaning to that alignment anyway.
I have a question. Did this get worse since we're on the 90s? Did this get worse after Disney, or was it just already like this?
Yeah, a lot of people do blame Disney. I've been hearing that a lot. But that's cartoons, bro. Disney fairy tale. It's like you can't blame cartoons for creating this princess fantasy.
You can when it's a delusion of grandeur. And,
no,
you know,
you think women got their delusion of grandeur from Disney?
I think the princess thing, yes.
Nah, B. They've known this forever. It's knitted into our consciousness about the society. This is the reason why, like, you know, the thing they've said a million times. A king can go take a peasant woman working in the bread market and shit with dirty feet, and he can take her and be like, you know what, I like this one. Move her into the castle. She becomes
Clean
the
her up
queen.
good.
She becomes the queen. And not long after that, she'll be spitting on peasants who work in the bread market. That's just what humans do, right? Like, that's what she'll do because she thinks that was her rightful place anyway. It just took somebody to recognize it and pay into it. Every woman will tell you she's a 10. No matter what she... And the world will, to some degree... It will pay into that. There'll be validation. And that's why women, they don't have to listen to nothing you saying. There's a woman out here right now that weighs 400 pounds.
There's too many gaslighters.
She's on OnlyFans. She's getting money. She's streaming on Twitch. People are telling her she's beautiful. There's incels out there. It's like, oh my God, I would love to nuzzle against your bosom. And she believes every word that they're saying. So when you see her back in the day, like 30 years ago, right? You see that fat girl and you go, hey, you're cute. She would blush. You see that same fat girl now and say, hey, you're cute. She'd be like, you fucking right. Join my OnlyFans, bitch. She delusions of grand. Like she just knows what's going on. And she has the options to prove it. Social media as a whole, not just Disney, but social media has expanded those options for women. She doesn't have to rely on the attention from guys in her neighborhood anymore. Now she can get on Instagram and some basketball player or some guy with a Rolex in Vegas wants to fly her out so he can bounce on her for a weekend.
Filters.
Right.
Destroyed the game.
And it doesn't matter because once she arrives from her flight, even if she don't look like what she looks like, you're still going to empty yourself inside her.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's a very clinical way of describing
Yeah,
it.
because that's what's happening. He's just
empty yourself.
Listen, guys, listen.
That's
Do not
more
do the
accurate
$80
than
ones. Do not do the $80 ones.
I the dude, he's the
yes,
master. He knows what's up.
Yes, I spent it.
Nah, man, they know what's up. They're gonna get it. It's men's fault because men don't have any standards.
I do blame men's fault.
They don't have any standards.
I do blame men for that.
When she shows up at your door and she catfished you and she's 200 pounds heavier than her pictures, you're supposed to be like, no, thank you. It's exactly. You're supposed to say, no, thank you, ma'am. I feel misled. Instead, he goes, fuck it. Come on in.
Come on, inside.
Come on, fine. Fine. And then you're going to start humping and sweating. And when you're done, she's going to leave knowing that she did her job. It wasn't
that is animalistic, man. Every time I think about it.
Yeah, she did her job. It's different. Like a woman, if she's not attracted to the dude, she can allow herself to be used, right? Sugar daddy, whatever. She might not be attracted to the guy, but if he's paying and everything else, and she'll let it happen. If a man is 100% not attracted to a woman, you may not even be able to perform. You definitely.
I don't know. I got a POBF story about a man who said he got raped in Miami. So
I don't believe him.
Hey, I got the whole video. I'm waiting for you guys.
Yeah, I don't believe him.
I'm waiting for you guys.
I don't believe him.
Yeah, I gotta go too. If it's not a video of him getting raped, I don't believe him.
No.
Yo, we were going off on this dude, bro.
He was just trying to get attention, bro.
He called another man a simp, and then he told his rape story, and then he got out of his Jeep Wrangler and showed his Bugattis and shit like a YouTube commercial.
Nah, he's lying. He's lying.
I mean, I've definitely.
He was Dominican, so it's 50-50.
Nah, I don't know what that means, but it sounds like bigotry. I'm just saying.
Dominicans get it.
Nah, listen. there's a mechanism that takes place. And well, then again, at the last show we had, we did see a Japanese movie that put that mechanism to sleep for us. So there may be more to this story now that I'm thinking about it. But it's going to be very difficult for you to perform with somebody that you're 100% not attracted to. It's going to be fairly difficult.
You can't. That's what I'm saying. It's just come
But
on,
I
bro. Your
think-
dick can't
but
be
I
hard
think-
unless you're drug induced. Like fuck
No,
outta
but I think we've all kind of. I don't know. I know
no, you
there's a time
can't.
where there's
can't.
girls that I had absolutely no intention of fucking. I had absolutely no attraction to them, and they basically just like forced me, like just really aggressive.
No, sir.
But and I'm like,
No.
I can't really push you off of me. That feels gay. So yeah,
That's what you wanted to do. That's what
That
you
feels
wanted
gay.
to do. That's what you wanted to do. Nobody was around. Nobody was around. You nobody. You
on
didn't
some
have to worry
occasions,
about.
but on some occasions also, it's like if you're the wingman, and
You
there's
gotta
a
do what you
friend,
gotta do.
and
Listen,
you know
there's-
someone's helping the friend. It's like I'm not attracted to this girl, but she's basically forcing it to happen.
Listen,
In my
you're not a
younger
man.
days, at least.
You're not a man. You're not a man.
No?
If you got an ugly if you don't have an ugly one under your cup of your belt,
Yeah.
I'm you're not a man. I'm sorry. So don't feel ashamed about it. I've done it plenty of
Oh
times.
no, I don't feel ashamed. I'm just saying.
No.
I think that's what this gentleman means when he said he got raped. He's like, look, I had no interest. I don't
bro.
know.
He
what
said he
happened.
literally got drugged. That's the whole. Listen, you'll see it.
Yeah,
You'll
we
see it.
we gonna have to
You'll
we gonna have to pull this up on the next show. I
You'll
need to
see it.
analyze this video because
You'll see
I
it.
already don't believe him. I'm gonna
You'll see
lean
it.
towards no in this.
And it all started with spades, by the way. I started it with spades, and it just
Who
went
hasn't
down.
been raped at a spades game?
That's part of the
normal.
spades
I'm-
game.
But
I'm
listen,
from Tampa.
I was explaining. So I was explaining how spades is a dangerous game in the black community, and then it just went from I got raped in Miami. So then I started apologizing in the chat how I should have never brought up spades. This was a bad idea.
That sounds like the name of a TV show you could get 5 seasons out of. I got raped in
Listen.
Miami. That just sounds like a reality show.
Listen.
It comes on right after
anytime-
Bad Girls Club.
Anytime you hear black people arguing about a game that they haven't played yet, don't play it with them.
Oh.
Don't play it with them.
Yeah.
Look,
If they're arguing about the game that they didn't play it, don't.
I'll
play
never
the
play
game.
spades again in my life. No matter who invites me, I'll
Listen,
never play it again in my life.
My brother
if you
has
got raped
scarred
during
me
spades?
from spades.
No, I just will never play spades again. Period. Ever in my life.
No,
Oh.
I don't. No, I don't care if
Really?
you don't.
No.
No.
Never.
I
Bro,
love
people pull up
spades.
spades like it's a black card. Like if you don't play spades, like listen, I don't
Oh,
play.
well.
I'm so black. I choose not to play with
Yo,
you.
spades is in the same category as chitlins and pig feet for me.
Yes,
It's too black.
Really?
It's too black.
I had
I can't
no
do it.
idea that people.
gets
All I can say, I
bad.
played spades all through middle school. I only went to jail once, and it came in handy. I was
That's all
immediately
it's good
welcomed
for.
in
That's all it's
to
good
the
for.
table to play cards. We need a fourth for spades. I got you. I know
Listen,
how to play spades.
That's
It's
all it's
basically
good
all
for.
I learned
Dominoes
in middle school. Yeah.
Dominoes, spades, just is I don't know what it does.
We
to
used
the
to
black
play
community.
Tonk. Our shit was
Tonk,
I
yeah.
remember
Yeah.
Tonk too.
Tonk,
Tonk
I
was
remember
another
Tonk.
one that used to get
I used to
played.
get money off Tonk. I don't remember
Me
how to
too.
play it to this day, but I used to like play it to where like you could just easily get whatever you're supposed to do, and they used to get mad. But I'm like, that's part of the game. You can't get mad at me for that. So it's
Nah,
just, I
dude.
used
Yeah, I
but,
can't
yeah.
do it. Can't do it.
Yeah.
No more
I
spades.
stopped. Once my life was threatened, I'm like, I can't do this no more. Like, this is
Yeah.
a card game.
It's just things I don't do.
You're
You,
mad at me because I don't understand this rule. Because
Wait,
I'm
but okay, but
inside of town?
what if you
You
play
play it
spades?
this way because
What-
2 blocks away is different from
What
what
if-
I'm used to my whole life. I
But
can't
what
do
if-
this anymore.
But
I
what?
can't.
But what if you play spades without the big joker and little joker and the two of diamonds? Does
Nope.
that less?
That's
does that
where I
get
get
less
lost.
spady
Nope.
for you?
Nope,
That's
To
not
where
doing
it
it.
feels okay.
Nope.
It gets worse after that.
That's
it gets
that's the
worse.
light. That's light skinned spade.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Light
hold on.
skin.
So okay, so what is the unbreaded chicken version of spades that's playable without it harkening back to something horrific?
It's called.
Is there-
It's called
It's
King's
called
Corners.
Don't play.
Any other game, I'll play any other game. Spades, Uno, not doing it. None of that aggressive shit. Nothing that's going to be
Dominoes.
aggressive.
Dominoes looks fun.
No
Once you hear
dominoes.
Jamaicans and Haitians involved, don't do it.
No,
Don't
nope.
do it.
No.
Don't do it. There's a machete somewhere. Relax.
Yes. Once they start talking in their language, don't do it. Don't do
Yeah,
it.
if you hear sock passe, run the other way.
I'm getting it. Like it's
Nah.
Yeah,
bad.
he just says, sock passe, and he pulls out a deck of cards. You just flee.
Nah, not doing it, bro.
Don't do it. It's like white people in pool. Just don't do it. Don't.
Yeah, games get way too aggressive for me. I can't. I don't play those kind of games no more. I can't do it. It's like on my list. I'm gonna have to put it in my Twitter bio. Like I don't eat watermelon in front of white people, and I don't play spades.
That's what I'm saying. I don't sign contracts. I don't play spades.
Now I love watermelon. Don't get me wrong. I just don't eat it in front of white
I just
people.
will not eat it in front of you.
No,
Ever.
that's because I'm trying to spare you from being racist in the moment. Like, cause you're not gonna be able to help yourself.
Oh, that's fucking.
It's not
don't
fair.
Make it uncomfortable for everybody. That's
Right,
so
it's not
funny.
fair to you. So
That's
I'm gonna,
fucking
yeah,
hilarious.
I'll take it. I'll take the, I'll take the stress.
Taking one for the team.
Right. I'm helping you out. I don't want to make you a bigot in the moment because you're gonna be a bigot. If you see a Negro eating a watermelon, you're gonna be a bigot. So I'm trying to help you. So I just don't do
Chappelle
it.
level. That's Chappelle level, bro. That's very funny. That
You're not
light
gonna-
skin
not gonna
spades
eat it?
gotta be a thing.
Yeah, light skin spades is amazing. We only play light skin spades in this house.
Nah, we don't do that big joker, little joker bullshit.
Nah, that's how people get shot. I don't do
Yeah.
that.
Right. My cousin played big joker,
Yeah, this
little
spade-
joker.
this
He got
spades comes
15
with-
years.
Yeah,
This deck of cards comes with activator.
We're not doing it, bro. We're not doing. We know where this ends. We know where this ends. Somebody gonna start
I
cussing, slamming
I leave
cards on the
party.
table.
Oh, you guys are playing spades? All right, I see. you
Yeah.
guys. Where's the kids?
I'm just
I'm outta
interested in hearing that conversation. It's like, so what do you don't like fried chicken? It's fucking delicious. Oh no, I love fried chicken. I'm just not gonna eat it in front of you because you're a racist.
Yeah.
Right, or
Like,
you
to have
will
to
be.
Explain that
And
away
even
at
if
a
you're not,
gathering.
You will be in this
even
moment.
if you're not, you will be in that moment.
Yeah.
You know, like even if you're not racist, because what he's saying is brilliant. Is that dichotomy and archetype of that thing is in
It's
everybody's
so in
head,
the
whether they're racist or
simulation,
not.
right.
Yep.
Exactly.
You can't help it. This is me
Exactly. That's
exercising my compassion. I don't want you to have
That's
to
a-
deal with your bigotry thoughts, so I just won't eat watermelon or fried chicken in public. It's
Damn,
fine.
I'm a hoe. I will eat potato pancakes and count money in front of anybody. I have no problem with it.
Potato pancakes and count money.
There's not an amount of change on the floor I will not pick up shamelessly.
But you know where you cut it off though is eating gefilte fish in front of people. That's a little too Jewish.
I won't do that by myself. That shit is way overrated. That shit is disgusting.
I think it's supposed to be though, right? Like,
Dude, fish and jelly, it's never was.
Oh,
it
it's
was
disgusting, bro.
Nigerian,
so bad.
Nigerian has a dish like that, bro. That shit was disgusting. I'm like, this is why they had to bring us over. This is just horrible food. Like you guys.
I had some of that.
Well, look,
my ex-girlfriend was Nigerian. Yeah, we had that.
Oh my
It's
God.
gross.
I
It's gross.
understand because there's some things that were created. I think bacalao was
Out of
kind of like that
necessity.
too. Out of tradition because hey, we had to preserve
That's
it.
all we
We
got.
caught all this stuff. We need to salt it and keep it. It's like okay, we don't need to do that shit anymore. We do not need to be eating fucking fish preserves
Yeah,
and fish
nobody's
jams and
supposed to-
jelly.
Pig feet, bro. Sorry, that just ain't it. That
Yeah,
ain't it. I'm
chitlins.
sorry. It's gross.
Listen, Listen, I say this sometimes when
Cow
I be
foot is good though. I'll eat some cow foot.
nah when I watch
Get the
those
fuck out of
nah,
here.
wa- and
Cow
nothing's
foot
feet.
soup. I'm sorry, I'm a nigga from the Caribbean, nigga. I'll eat some cow foot soup.
Listen, when I be watching these TV shows where they go to these places, rural places, indigenous foods, and people be out in the woods and living in huts, and they drink blood and eat bugs. But sometimes, if you look in the background, you'll see like a pickup truck, or one of the kids will be wearing a Pepsi shirt and shit like that. I'm like, you know what?
I love that.
If you got a gas engine, there's certain shit you shouldn't be eating. If you wearing a Pepsi T-shirt,
when they're walking around with the AKs,
nah, bro.
they're over there like,
Yeah, how you got a combustion engine and you drinking congealed
you
cow
have
blood?
A fucking $600 gun in your possession.
Right. What are you doing, bro?
What's going on here?
This shit don't add up. You live, and then you look at the map and shit and see where they're at, or you see the guy drives away from their town, and in like 30 minutes he's in a regular town where people run stores and there's a grocery store. Like if you live that close to a grocery store, there's no reason for you to be eating pig feet. There's no reason. You bought these pig feet from Walmart. Shame on you. This is over. You live in a civilized society now. Why the fuck are you still eating shit sleeves, chitlins? Why? It doesn't make any sense. Those days are
Shit,
over.
sleep.
Yeah, those days are
Yeah,
over.
you can't clean those intestines. I don't care what you say.
Bro.
That's years of shit.
It just is shit. That's the point. Like it's not something.
To be fair, they're boiled. I mean, you're
don't give
getting
a-
everything.
I
out
don't
of
give
it.
a
Nope.
fuck.
Nope.
But I mean, bro,
No.
pigs are. But I mean, the pigs are the grossest eaters. They eat each other. They eat their
Yeah.
dung. Like they're nasty. It's like, dude, that intestine is a
A
goddamn
British man says you
war
could
bunker.
feed them humans.
Yo,
They eat
listen.
everything.
Oh yeah.
Yo,
Italy,
chickens-
bro, the Italian
And
mafia
another
does
thing
it.
too is it's the meat closest to like the consistency of human meat.
Oh yeah.
See,
Right,
Like
right.
that's a whole nother set of problems.
Oh yeah.
But chickens are not too far behind, bro. Chickens will eat anything. They'll kill and eat
Yeah.
anything. You could throw a
Goats
dead
too.
chicken. Yeah. Throw a dead chicken into a chicken run, and they'll be like, "Oh, word!" They'll just go to
Fuck
town on it, son. So it's like this is the nature. Don't give
Yeah,
a
chickens
fuck.
are dinosaurs, bro. Chickens are
Oh, yeah.
dinosaurs.
Yeah, they are.
You
It's
feather
sad.
those motherfuckers, they're nasty.
Their feet,
It's
they
sad-
got
it's
feet
sad
like
for
raptors,
Terry.
bro. They got feet like velociraptors, bro. The first time I like really held a chicken up close, a wild one too, not like you look at the chicken feet in the store. There's like these crippled chickens that never really walked because they were slaughtered at 6 months and they were too fat to move, and so it's different. They haven't really used their feet. You look at a chicken that's outside scratching and digging for food, like their real functional feet. It looked like a fucking velociraptor, bro. It's a lizard. They got lizard feet. It's a feathered bird with lizard feet, and it's one of the most acceptable meals we can eat
Well,
in
it's a
the
flying
civilized
lizard.
world.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
pretty
it's
much.
flying.
birds,
Yeah.
the lizards and birds have like a common branch in like the tree of life.
Yeah, it's some weird shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I blame Yakub.
It's Earth.
I blame Yakub for doing all this genetic experiments and shit, for making white people and making flying lizards. It's all his fault, man. Yakub's experiment, it's all his fault. If it wasn't for him, it'd be a whole different world.
Crazy old.
We also
man.
wouldn't have Starbucks and Apple phones either. So I guess we gotta thank Yakub, but
It's
also
a
be
love-hate
little angry.
relationship. It's a love-hate relationship.
Baby
Yeah.
with the bathwater.
Yeah, we can't throw him away completely. He's responsible for some of our best
He
amenities.
thinks up the craziest things.
Yeah, dude. If it wasn't for having to sleep in a cold ass cave, there wouldn't be any Nikes.
Yeah.
You think
Wouldn't be
Negroes?
cell phones, none of that.
You think Negroes
Wasn't
would
a
have made
Negro, they were just
Nikes?
sitting there fishing, eating
Yeah,
mangoes all day
fishing.
long.
My wife is topless all day. I don't give a shit about
Got
nothing.
3 wives, like you ain't got time to think
chilling.
about what's going on. The
But
fuck?
you sleep in a cave and kiss your dog in the mouth. You come up with some inventions real fast. I need the fuck
You'll
out of
figure
this
out
cave. Bro.
civilization real
Yeah,
fast.
I need to get the fuck
We
out of
gotta
this
stick
cave.
together.
Yeah, this shit is unacceptable.
if I gotta wake up next to this dog one more time, my wife died in the winter, nothing is growing. I gotta figure out spaceship.
This is my
Fuck
5th family. Like I'm 50. I'm surprised I survived this long.
It's our 5th family. Hey, but listen,
Gotta
like
get
I
this
said,
together, man.
yeah, without him, there's no mall, there's no public transportation.
Oh,
If it
man.
wasn't for a white man sleeping in a cave kissing his dog, you get no public transportation.
It's all white supremacy. If it
You know,
wasn't
like
for
I
him.
said, I stand by my point. The white man did to the world what the black man did to basketball. That was it.
Facts.
Everybody else, the Africans were just meandering around, passing the ball, doing fundamentals and shit. And the white man just came out dunking, like, bow, metal, bow, diseases. Like, we gonna move it.
Rifle in the head.
Yeah, chemical warfare. We got to move this shit along. Y'all out here playing, bro. Yeah, watch some vintage basketball and see how boring that is. That's what the world was before colonization.
Yeah, that's an ill analogy, bro. That's an ill fucking analogy.
Yeah.
Because it comes up against all of it in one analogy. It's like, yeah, we love black basketball. What is basketball without black players,
Right.
bro? It's nothing.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Go
That's
look at it. See how boring it is. And all these
it's
white
horrible.
men running around. They pass the ball 27 times before they even try to shoot.
WNBA, but white men.
You're right. You're absolutely
That's what
right.
it stands for.
Look how ugly the layups were.
Right.
Just go look
Oh,
at
yeah.
a 1940s layup. I dare you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what Africans were doing.
They all look like they have scoliosis the way they dribble.
Right.
They're all just running
Yep.
around, bent over.
No
and shit.
finger
Yeah.
rolls, no over unders.
Right? No. That's what in colonization. We don't hate colonization. We just hate the efficiency the white man brought to the game. Because black folks was doing it. They would definitely do let's go kill our next door neighbors and take some of their shit. The white man was like, watch this, motherfucker. Let me show you something. Let me show you how to do this, son. I'm gonna colonize the whole fucking world. I'm taking it all. And then we
Yes,
sit
man,
back.
met him at the
We sit back with our iPhones in Starbucks and like, this white man is terrible. It's like, well, how you think you got all this shit? You wasn't gonna get it no other way. This is attached to a lot of
Dude,
people
that's
getting
fucking
fucked up.
crazy. That is a wild way to look at them. I bet I try to get Frank on here, man. He talks like that, bro. He and it's wild to hear a black man talk like that. It's like, wow, bro, because when I first met him, I expected him to be super hotep and Afrocentric and stuff, and he was not. He was more conservative in the way that he thinks, and he was like, bro, that's how Erica, all the like super Afrocentric people are actually not left. They don't vote or none of that, but they would come off libertarian, and they would
Right.
come off like, nah. And that was totally surprising me. He was like, yeah, because that's the caricature they show you on
Yep.
TV, because it helps with their mission to have that poor black slave, massa. He's like, man, we were conquerors, bro. He was like, the Moors invaded. He's like, we want our power back.
Right.
That's what he says.
They was doing everything. They was doing everything that people blame the white man for. They just wasn't dunking. They was doing layups.
They were not efficient.
They wasn't
but
dunking.
they had some victory, since we've kind of been broken apart in this country as Team White and Team Black, and that's how we frame all of our disputes. Technically, the Moors controlled parts of Italy and France and
Sicily.
Spain and Portugal
Yeah.
and shit for longer than Europeans have been in the West.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
Yeah.
He's like,
Talking
bro,
like
this
750 years.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, this is payback.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the illest revenge movie you ever seen.
Yep.
It's lasted 500, 600 years. He's like, the white people are Liam Neeson, for real, coming to get your ass.
Take it. Like, yo, I don't know.
America's Liam Neeson.
For real, bro. But most American black people just started watching the movie halfway through. That's what it is. They see Liam Neeson killing all the Serbians, and they're like, what did they do, though? Why is he killing the Serbians? Like, they kidnapped his daughter, bro. You just didn't see the first 30 minutes of the movie. Now sit down and shut up. That's what it was. You think there wasn't no prima nocta when the Moors was running Italy? There was a whole lot of prima nocta, bro.
Everything that you
The
could say about
Zulus,
the
too.
evils of the white man, pillaging, selling the women, raping them, selling them into slavery, like the Moors did all of that. This was just, I'm strong enough. I
Zulus,
figured out
bro,
warfare.
all of them
Oh
did
yeah,
that.
within Africa, the Ashanti Empire,
The homie.
there was peaceful tribes, and there was tribes like, look, we just want to eat mangoes and hang out. And somebody else is like, look, we made arrows and spears. Fuck you, we want your shit. It's always, unfortunately, these have been the people that get to make the rules for everybody else, the people that are willing to shed blood and who get the best at it.
That's
and
right.
when you live in a cave for centuries and you got to keep sleeping with these wet dogs, eventually you make guns.
Right.
That was the key changer.
And I hate to break it to you. That's how the world works, bro. Is you have to be disciplined and be willing to sacrifice to be successful at anything.
Right.
And I'm not saying it's a one-to-one comparison, but that's the way our dimension works. If you're not willing to go at it and go hard, you're going to live a mediocre thing, or you're
For
going to
sure.
someone's going to take your shit,
Sacrifice is keys, and we're not talking about the voodoo rituals. We're talking about giving something up in order to attain something.
That's what I did.
talking about the
Both.
ritual.
I'm talking about both.
Yeah, both. It's the same thing.
Talking about both.
It's the same thing. If you're not willing to do if you're not willing to do at least, if you're not willing to do at least as bad as the people who trying to take your shit, you lose every time. If you say, all right, we're going to build an encampment outside their village, but we won't attack them while they're sleeping. If the people in that village say they sleeping, let's go fuck them up, you lose.
It's over.
You lose, B.
Yep.
So that's just the way it is. You got to be
I do think
willing.
it's changing, though. I do think we're evolving out of it. It's just going to take 1,000 years. But
We're
we've
evolving,
begun.
Yeah.
We're just not gonna
We've
see it.
begun. Yeah, we've begun
Look,
now.
Africans threw the albinos out and basically just sent them to the gym of the world. Like there's like Africa was just chilling on a couch, and then the caves of Europe was, look, you're gonna bench the whole stack, and you're just gonna keep doing it for thousands of years until you figure some shit out. And the thing that changes the whole dynamic is, look, if you just see those people as speciated Africans, we don't have to keep having these stupid conversations.
Exactly. Yes,
Like, look,
that's
we're
what
just
it is.
Africans that figured out how to make guns. And when we
Well,
brought it
had
back to
'cause there
you,
was no
right?
it was,
But when
there was no
we
food
brought
and
it,
we were freezing.
right,
Yeah.
and when we brought it back to the mothers and fathers, and we're like, hey, look, we figured out how to make guns. They weren't like, fuck that white shit. They were like, yo, let's put that shit in every fucking video. This is great. Let's put it on every drill song we
Shout
make.
out to Brittany Griner.
Right. So you
Going
can't
back to the
hate.
streets.
you can't hate cultural appropriation and defend 21 Savage. You can't.
Right.
You
Oh,
Right.
can't. You can't. Who made the gun? Isn't this some European shit? Why are we worshiping European shit?
well,
So
it's
just
funny. It's
stop the
funny.
madness. Yeah.
I've because I study Ifa, right? My spirituality is African for the most part. I was having a convo with Frank, and there was someone else there, and the dude that was there kind of had an issue with me studying Ifa, right? And Frank was like, "Well, your family's Christian," and he was like, "Yeah." He's like, that was brought here by Europeans. So you're telling me he's not allowed to celebrate and worship African deities, but you're cool with that, and that's that cognitive dissonance, right? And like, say a white man or anybody who's not African is into Ifa, they're looking at that God is black, right? That should be celebrated. And that's the cognitive dissonance of like how this shit gets so splintered. That's not appropriation, right? It's not. I mean, there's going to be people obviously that are
It's
sloppy
only
with it.
appropriation if you're insincere, and people pick and choose with what's appropriation. Because we celebrate shit for. If you really believed in cultural appropriation, you would never be eating Chinese food. You just wouldn't. You would never eat it.
Well, black
I mean,
people
you
wouldn't be
shouldn't.
allowed to skateboard or surf. Like, you're not allowed to skate then. You're not allowed to skateboard and surf.
That's
I
what I'm
think-
saying. Yeah, that's. It's
I
just
think the
the
real-
whole argument of cultural appropriation is bullshit.
It is absolutely. I think the real fear is people don't think they never think that their God would be like vengeful enough. Like if somebody who your God didn't want them to worship, like no matter what system it is, there's something set up inside of it. Most likely, there's something set up inside of it that the leaders, the top deities or whatever, they exercise their vengeance. They have people who do the shit that they don't like, and they do something to them. Like there's repercussions for it. So if you think I shouldn't be worshiping Ifa, leave that to the black gods of Ifa to punish me.
Don't send up no cracker prayers.
Right, just
Don't
let
you do it.
shouldn't it be inaccessible to me? If you think I shouldn't be doing it, then it should be inaccessible. That means they should ignore all my prayers. They should kick over my ritual table like that. If it's working, guess what? It's out of your hands. It's above your pay grade. Don't worry about what I'm doing, B.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
That's for real.
If it's working, you can't say
Can't
tell
say
that person
shit.
it's wrong.
You can't say
Can't
shit.
tell that person,
This-
But that
this no-
I haven't run into that often though. I mean, that's one thing is that my experiences through my whole life, and this might not be true for everybody, but as a white rapper and all that, I've always been pretty much accepted. There were obviously people that didn't like me, but I do think black people, if they know you're authentic, are more willing to accept you than if you're
I
black
agree.
trying to fit.
We're definitely more acceptable, even though like the
Yeah.
media makes it seem like we're I don't know, it's just white man.
If you
paranoia.
just go by
But-
what Black Twitter says, you'll get a skewed perspective
Yeah.
of what most people will
There's a
think.
there's a lot of black people that want genocide. I will agree on that. But there's a lot of us that will say, "Come here, white man. You could hide under the bed and you won't get murdered."
Well, and Frank, you no problem.
No
They don't
problem.
really want genocide. It sounds good, but they know what happens. Just like the people know what happens if you defund the police. Keep it real.
Yeah.
Keep it real with yourself. It's easy to be like, oh, these white cops are terrorizing the neighborhood. If them white cops leave, it's Mad Max out there.
It's black on black crime like
It's
you've never
it's
seen.
Mad Max. The guy who
Rapes.
but it's
It's
over. It's over, and you know that. But it sounds good to be like, we can police ourselves. Okay.
No,
Okay.
It just shows the perspective and how you're framing your thinking when you don't see things as this is something that belongs to humanity. When everybody wants to be so territorial about what belongs to who and who can celebrate it. And if you're saying like it's not cultural appropriation to have a video with a bunch of black dudes in the hood worshiping European penises, the gun, the invention of the gun,
Yeah.
right? If that's not appropriating European culture, that's okay. Celebrating something to kill each other, but a white dude who has respect for black mythology and origin stories and spirituality, no, that don't touch that. That's ours.
Right.
And it just really gets silly when you just say, look, guns got invented. Everybody can use them for righteous cause to protect people like the Black Panthers and defend, or to do dumb shit and shoot babies in strollers. It's just a thing. But fuck who invented it. When it got invented, it's here now. It belongs to humanity. Nobody, when they were handing out, when the samurai were like, look, these swords ain't gonna cut it no more. They were like, we're not using these crack ass guns. We're Japanese. We're only about swords. And then,
No, they
nah,
use
man,
those
all of
crackers,
this
bro.
shit belongs to humanity. Anything that humanity, just like the trademark, the copyright, whatever it lasts for like 20 years or some shit. After 20 years, the shit belongs to all of humanity. You can't claim
Well,
it just belongs to one aspect of humanity anymore.
you
Yeah.
know what it is though, and we have to be able to hold space at some point. You know, it gets kind of annoying, but black folks in America, for the most part, obviously had much of their identity kind of xed out of history, right? So then, you know, black folks wanting to claim things as their own. I had this convo with Frank. He went to an Ifa ceremony in Dallas, and he was embarrassed because they were doing Senegalese drumming, Nigerian chants, and the Babalawo was wearing like a FUBU shirt. It was embarrassing. He was like, yo, African Americans are confused. You know, they don't know where they come from. So that's part of it, right? That overreaching, this is ours. And you have to understand that's where it comes from. I'm not saying it's right, but that's why it's happening in a lot of ways, is this confusion and need to find the identity. So for that reason, I'm always gonna be chill about it. And some ways it's I kind of have to be mature enough, and me being who I am is part of why I am who I am. I'm in this body. I love the things I love, is to have that conversation and just shrug and be like, but now what though? Like, listen to my music. Yeah. Look at how I carry this with reverence. Like, I'm don't be mad because I'm closer to your ancestors than you are. That's something you need to look at. You know what I'm saying?
But
also, that's not
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I was done.
I was gonna say, I think though that the inevitability that eventually you get to where Erykah Badu's mindset is. Like what you were saying, hey, I was shocked to find people that think like this and think like that. I think if you're a truth seeker, eventually you shed all these labels and identities. You respect it for what it is. You respect for that moment in history and the common struggle that it may have caused, and all of the beautiful things that came out of the photosynthesis of suffering. Like all of the shit that came out of that. Yeah, but eventually you kind of graduate past that and you just see like, wow, all of this shit that I'm trying to attribute to these little sections of humanity, they've literally existed in every human on a small scale, and in every culture at every epoch in history on a larger scale. Like Bongo said, like I tuned in late in the movie, but eventually when you watch it and you rewind it and then you look at the prequel, it's like, oh shit, this bitch's daughter's been taken 15 times. Like, this isn't even the first Taken movie. Like, I had no idea. The lore was so deep. And you eventually figure out, it's like, oh, humans just do terrible shit to humans.
Period.
And humans have all these different ways to justify when they're doing the horrible shit. Well, we're going to make you slaves. Why? Because y'all didn't figure out guns in the Magna Carta yet. So you don't really have any humanity. So just be our slaves. You have no choice. Plus, you're a lot darker than us. So we just have to. You get it? Like, you're a different culture, you're a different skin color, a different technological level. We have the chance to abuse you. Okay. And you go to Germany.
Humans gonna human.
Germany and Jews. Whoopi Goldberg said it the best. I can't tell the difference between you motherfuckers. Both of you have Stein in your last name and Berg in your last name. I can't tell if you're Jews or Germans, and you're all white. I don't know how y'all even had this genocide. If I was Hitler, if I was Black Hitler, I would have killed all of you, because I wouldn't be able to figure out the difference between you.
Basically.
I can't tell the difference between a white gypsy, a white German, and a white Jew. You all look like crack-ass crackers to me. So, but humans still found a way. Damn, Yiddish is just a branch off of fucking German, of old German tongue or whatever, and we have the same last names, and we live in the same area, and we have the same level of civilization, and we're operating off the same technology and we'll still find a reason why it's okay for us to kill you and put you in ovens. And we'll find a reason why you can be a slave forever instead of like a 7-year indentured servant gig. Like, humans will also, just because the pretext was race or the pretext was religion, you got to throw that out at some point and just say, no, humans just wanted to do fucked up shit, and this was the vehicle. Like, racism isn't always like a special kind of vehicle for the fuckery. But in the times that we've lived and how we grew up, we've just been conditioned that it's the absolute worst kind of fuckery. When really it's just, it's an excuse for the fuckery. But the fuckery has always been the fuckery. And the fuckery is always the problem. But if we want to just wax eloquent endlessly about special branches and brands and distillations of fuckery, and make that the priority, we can waste a lot of time doing that. But I think it misses the point at some point. Eventually, if you're on that path to truth, you're gonna rise above that, and you're just not gonna be able to frame everything in those really simple myopic terms. Not if you're sincere. So I think her conclusion is inevitable. I think everybody on the path will get there.
Yep. That's why it's not even worth complaining openly about it to people. Just wait for them to get, like I said, be ahead of the curve and wait for the wave to arrive. You don't have to stand on a soapbox with the end is nigh sign. We don't got to do that. There's other shit to do. There's other things to prepare. I got gardens to rock with. I got freaking hemp to plant. I got a lot of shit to do. I can't. And then eventually people are going to be like, you know what? The world's looking pretty fucked up. I should buy some seeds. Then you can come talk to me. I've been doing this shit for years. I'm like, yeah, this is what I've been talking about the whole time. But you're gonna find your place. You're gonna find yourself there regardless. The only difference is how disconnected you are to what's really going on, and what stage of that you wake up and realize, man, I need to be doing something for myself and my own family, rather than just complaining about those people over there. These guys are pissing me off. The gays are going crazy. The trans folks, they want to use the same bathroom. It's like I guess that's a game you can play if you want to, but it's real shit out here happening, and the solution to all of it seems to be the same solution. So it's not like a whole fractal of things that you need to take into consideration. It's pretty simple, in my opinion. It's pretty simple. You're gonna need some land. You're gonna need to learn how to grow food, and you're gonna need to surround yourself with people that you love and respect, and hold each other accountable for self-improvement. Other than that, you're just spinning your wheels, in my opinion. But have fun. Have fun.
Yeah.
Earth is a great place.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Hilarious.
let me say this. I'm super excited that there's new double helix music on the horizon. I told you when you dropped the Emerald Tablets. I don't know if you remember what I told you. I called you up. I was like, "Yo, this shit is like mystic trap music." That's what it sounds like to me, like a mystic man doing some trap. Like this shit is dope as fuck. And to hear this metaphysics or we're fucked, like as far as like content, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it's not rappers touching on mysticism. It feels more like mystics who just happen to rap. I'm super fucking hungry and excited to see that lane like opened up and fully explored and chiseled out, and some sort of flag planted, or like some new shit. Like the era of strip hop has to end. Like we've been on some 1980s Reaganomics. We're all coked up and having a great time on mindless shit. Like that's been too intertwined for too long. Like it's inevitable that eventually we're gonna return to some sort of semblance of consciousness and responsibility and productivity, and just, you know what I'm saying? We've been eating fucking elephant ears and fried Twinkies for like 2 decades now. Like I'm looking forward to some kale and some exotic spices.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, we got it.
Word, man.
We got it. That's for sure. And again, I just want to express the gratitude of my brother here, Soulajit, Surreal, for being so active and just creating these worlds and allowing me to step in and be part of that. You know, because I don't know what would have been my real entry. Being willing to release music is one thing. I don't know how I would have got it out, what type of package it would have been in. So the fact that you were able to cultivate that and create that world and allow me to take part in it, absolutely grateful, infinitely grateful, and I'm looking forward to everything that we cooking up right now. It's powerful for us individually, but also, like you said, for people who want to listen and people who want to tap into that energy. So I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we are who we are, and that we were able to maintain this thing for all this time, and all of us, you know what I'm saying? I appreciate all of y'all for being here and holding each other accountable and making time for this thing every week. I still absolutely think that this is important. It helps me crystallize these ideas I have. Sometimes when you got shit in your head, it only has to make sense to you, so you can end up with some really lofty, nebulous concepts. But when you talk to other people and you get pushback and you get support, it's like it helps to carve out these things to really practical things that can be applied, and they're scalable and models that you can repeat. And that's what we need to act it out and project it onto the world for real. So I'm happy that we have this vehicle to be able to do that with each other, and it's dope. I'm every week this shit is powerful, and it's always helpful. So I'm glad y'all are here, man, and I'm looking forward to everything that's on the horizon.
Appreciate y'all, man. I have very few friends, and two of my brothers, and a homie that I've not known that long but feel close to. It's like I count y'all as family. So it ain't even, oh, let's put it in this package. It's like, nah, my brother's cold and he hasn't released music in a while. It has to happen. That's
No.
it. It wasn't, you know what I mean? Like I would do it. I would do it every day if you had, it's like, just write more songs, bro. I'm a fan. I'm your boy, but I think you're one of the best rappers to ever walk the earth. And it's a tragedy. It has been not a tragedy. It's been a long cliffhanger waiting for you to release some new shit. So I'm excited to be able to support you in that way. And it also helps me, man. Like Double Helix stuff is probably my favorite stuff I've ever made. Just the synchronicity and the way that all went down, and I think people are gonna enjoy it. And love you, Yakub and Doobie, man. Appreciate you guys having me. It was super fun.
Absolutely,
Thank you.
man.
Love you too. Love you too.
Always dope.
Always a
Always
pleasure,
dope.
my brother.
You brothers enjoy the rest of the evening. I'll be looking forward to talking again soon. We're going to get into visualizing this intentional community. And I know we got some storyboarding to do for Complicitous. And so I'm looking forward to that. Let me know when you got some time and we can continue building and continue crafting this world, man. I'm excited.
Dola.
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of the evening.
Peace, brother.
Bless.
All right, man. Have a good one, guys.
Peace.
Metaphysics is going to have to be the quote-unquote religion of tomorrow. If it isn't, you're fucked. Totally and absolutely. Metaphysics, if it isn't, you're fucked. Absolutely. Totally and absolutely. Metaphysics, if it isn't, you're fucked. Totally, absolutely. Religion of tomorrow. Religion of tomorrow.